Hi,
And we're
everybody.
live.
Hi. Yeah, I can tell when we're live when it's
Oh,
in the Google Hangouts. It actually tells me. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Gaytriarchy number 568. Um, this is Prince of Queens. Oh, hey, we have everybody. Cool. Are you a man? Are you a gay man? Do you care about the gender specific issues of men and boys? Do you care about the gender specific issues of gay men in particular? Have you noticed that the gender specific issues of gay men and boys also tend to be very, very similar to the gender specific issues of transgender women? And have you actually noticed that feminists do not give a crap about gay men? I mean, that's pretty obvious. If you're watching this, you probably noticed that. But as the years go by, it becomes very, very, very clear that they give less than a fuck about transgender women too. And they actually hate transgender women because turns out that transgender women, what's the best way to describe this? Are competing for the same female entitlements with the feminists a lot of the time. Now, not all transgender women, but once feminists realize that they might have to share the wealth a little bit, no, that can't happen. So we're going to be talking about things related to that, and we're also going to be talking about detransitioning because I'm noticing it come up a lot more in media these days. We have our friend Melissa Karlee, who is here as our guest, and we're also going to talk about all sorts of other things because she likes to talk about other things. And this is the first time that A, she's been on our show, B, that a trans woman's been on our show. So say hi.
Well, hi. I'm glad I get to pop everyone's cherry.
It's delicious.
It's delicious. It's going to be fun. Don't worry.
So from left to right, let's do this.
wait, am I on the left this time, or am I not?
Yeah, it does look like that from the view screen.
Oh shit, I am on the left this time. Hello, everybody. It's Saint Bacon. I'm controlling the Gaytriarchy's account. I'm the, I guess, our aspiring Twitch thought / tech person. So hello, everyone.
Hi.
I'm on my phone, so I don't know. Is it me now?
How about you?
Oh, hi, everyone. It's our cat's gay. I'm not dead. I'm just exhausted because I'm still working 2 jobs. But I'm here because I have a cool boss and I love the Gaytriarchy so much. Yeah. I'm the coiner of the term gigtow, and I make movies or videos, just not right now. But again, soon, if I don't die of exhaustion first. So let's get going.
All right. And then last but not least, we have the Ann Cappy avatar person, who, by the way, I just want to say he uploaded a video today that I didn't actually watch, but it does feature him running shirtless.
Is it a good thing?
What do you have to say about that, Derek? Spacepan. Uh-oh, maybe his audio is out.
I think he said he's muted for now because he still has people in his podcast zone.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, well, so the thing is that what he's doing as it's to mock some like runner dude. I didn't watch the whole thing. I just was like, what is this? Because it's like some dude who's like running with his shirt off, who I guess is irritating, but I didn't even know who the guy was. And Spacepan was imitating the guy, and it seemed like it was maybe interesting. And then he has some girl that he's like talking to, or something. I don't know. So I really don't know what's. So I wanted to hear his sort of explanation about what the video is about, because it's
Okay, I can
long.
explain.
Okay.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
Awesome. That means my internet didn't sabotage my audio. I'm so happy. Hi, Melissa. I'm really happy that you're here today. I was really happy last week when you were like blowing up our live chat and like calling us out and shit. I was like, fuck yeah, this is the kind of fire we need. It's great. But
Well, I mean, like,
what I wanted to mention was. Oh,
Go ahead.
sorry. Go ahead. Oh, okay. I'll go ahead.
It's just one of those.
Ladies
Like,
first, right?
Once I get a thought in my head, I am unable to shut up. So unable, and I don't have a filter.
Dude, that's what I'm like too, and I get into trouble, but if you accept that, then then you're fine. Then you kind of negate all the disads. But anyway, yeah, that video, I didn't sleep last night. I hit like the 48-hour mark of sleep. Like no, I'm going to hit the 48-hour mark in 12 hours. Like my math is fucked up. Like that's sleep deprivation. It's great. Anyway, we worked all night on that video because we had to have it finished because like it's a local mayor, so like anybody who's not in Minnesota, like you're not gonna appreciate how funny the topic of that video is until like you have us like give it to you and show it to you. And so we're really proud of that. I worked really hard on that, and I also jogged, and that was a lot of work. That's more work than I usually do. And yeah. So that's my intro for this version of it.
Okay.
What part of Minnesota? Just curious.
I live in Minneapolis. Okay. I was born in St. Paul. Kind of grew up in like the suburbs. Worked in different areas kind of around it. So yeah, Twin Cities. I'm from like the heart of Minnesota. Right now, I'm actually up north for the 4th of July, and I haven't been up here in like 10 years. So it's like a total blast from the past. And
well,
like,
I mean, like I'm from Brainerd, Minnesota originally.
Fuck yeah, that's where I am right now.
I
went to
really?
your
Get
homeland.
the fuck out of here. Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, fuck yeah. We're at fucking Gladstone Lake in fucking Brainerd.
Okay. You guys will talk about
Oh,
this.
so you have
Are you
going to go to Mille Lacs?
This is a Minnesota stream, Prince, okay? Minnesotans are taking over.
A stream of
Minnesota streams. Loons everywhere.
This is not
Are you going to go to Mille Lacs?
This is not a stream of us talking about our hometowns and our hometown areas. You guys will talk about this after the stream. I muted you both temporarily, but you can unmute yourself. We will move on. That's interesting. But if you can say something that applies to the actual subject, this is about your but all the local talk. That's not what the audience tunes in for. And also, audience members, please do hit that like button. But what do you think of this? Have you heard of this mayoral candidate, Melissa? And Spaceman, I muted you. You can unmute yourself anytime you want.
No, I haven't heard of this particular mayoral candidate.
He's not bad looking. He's kind of a Justin Trudeau.
No, I feel like humanity will never see a larger vagina in any kind of leader than Justin Trudeau ever again.
Oh, so true.
There will always be challenges to that title, though.
I mean, it's like the guy who solved a Rubik's Cube in like 30 seconds or something like that. Like, no one's ever going to top that, right? I mean, people could try, knock yourself out, but and that's how Justin Trudeau is. Like,
well, they could always design a robot, like a vaginoid, an artificial vagina robot that's like even designed. Yeah, but it doesn't. That I don't know. That's going too far. But we could like genetically engineer like a fetus that was conceived entirely using soy DNA.
Okay. So
I got disconnected for a second because I'm out in the hills where there is no internet. What was were you talking about the San Francisco mayoral candidate?
No, it was
okay.
it was what Derek's video was about.
Oh, okay.
Which I want to watch. I think it will be interesting because this guy is a whack job apparently, or he's just annoying. I'm not really sure what the thing is about him. So
no, I'll have to watch the video. I haven't watched it, so.
So conversational topics. Should we start with a news story to go over?
Sure. Let's see which one pulled up first. It's the 2/3 of Black LGBT people face racism within the community. Do you want to start with that one?
Okay. Bring it up and show the audience.
Okay, let me present myself and screen share. Okay, share screen 2, and it should be up now.
You're really darkening the horizon with this story.
Oh, cats. You toy with me.
Mm-hmm. Like a ball of string.
Anyways, let's
Almost 2/3 of Black people. Wait, okay. Start from the beginning.
Sorry, 2/3 of Black LGBT people face racism within the LGBT community. Also, fair warning, chat, I am drinking right now, so if I start slurring, it's because I hit beer number 4. Just saying.
Or because he has Or he has an aneurysm, and we'll be there to witness it.
Hey, my grandmother died of one of those, so please don't scare me.
So, okay, I'll read this. Almost 2/3 of Black people who identify as LGBT say they face racism from within the LGBT community, according to new research by UK charity Stonewall. Can we look at this? Like, let's.
It actually is a study. Let me pull it up. It actually is a study, kind of.
Is it a good study?
I haven't read through the whole thing yet because I mean I don't want to.
Well, Stonewall UK is headed by a fucking lesbian feminist. So
let's just say no.
This has postmodern written all over it, but I'm waiting to see.
The LGBT in Britain, front and center, like Black woman with big hair, and like the only white people, like white males that are in there are like don't look particularly attractive and are like not even facing the camera. Like
they're probably not allowed.
Yeah, in other words, just so you know who's boss, it's the Black woman with the big hair.
Yeah,
and the big dick.
Yeah, I'll probably rip this. If this study's free, let me see if it actually is free. Yeah, it is free to save, I think. I'll probably rip this apart on Sunday morning.
Ooh.
Anyways, want to get back to the bullshit article, or do you want to just?
Well, I mean, I feel like those gay star things. I kind of want to look at the methodology, because like it's always just. I mean, those are really just headline articles anyway. And I kind of want to look at the methodology of the actual study.
Okay, let's see if it'll pop up. Oh, there it goes. Okay, it's 20 pages. Let's get past all the title bullshit and 4 words. Okay, the study.
Sonal commissioned YouGov to carry out a survey asking more than 5,000 and trans people across England, Scotland, and Wales about their life in Britain today. The report, part of a series based on the research, investigates the specific experiences of LGBT people at home in LGBT communities and in their faith communities. The study reveals the extent to which LGBT people still lack support from family members and that many LGBT people don't feel able to be open about their sexual orientation and gender identity. It also looks at how inclusive LGBT-specific places are and investigates incidences of discrimination within LGBT communities. By the way, if they interviewed me and said, hey, white guy, do you experience sexism and racism within the LGBT community? I would say yes. And do I experience it more than the Black lesbians in wheelchairs? Mark me as a double bad.
No. You should have said the Black trans lesbians in fucking wheelchairs.
Did I just offend the trans woman here by forgetting?
Jesus Christ! Be inclusive, you fucking prick.
You know what? You're both incredibly exclusionary, though. Everyone knows that Black, transgender, disabled otherkin are the new supreme underclass.
Right.
And then we get into
wrong. No, you gotta be two-spirit, because then you got 2 spirits to be crushed.
And they're Black and Indian at the same time.
Yeah. So what is that? That's intersectionality.
No, 2 spirits are like, it's actually a more widely established thing than like pansexuality and all the bullshit ones. Like it has like a historic like basis in Native American culture and everything. So it's actually ironically the 2 in the LGBTQIA plus like bullshit. The 2 is actually more legitimate than most of the other letters, which is really funny.
Yeah.
I don't know. It still sounds utterly irrelevant in modern society.
Here's the thing about Two-Spirit. If you take it out of the context of Native American culture, it doesn't make fucking sense. Like if you're a white person or you're a Black person, you're walking around talking about your Two-Spirit, I have thousands of questions I want to ask you, because what you're doing doesn't make sense outside of the context of Native American culture. It just doesn't make fucking sense.
And the sad truth about truth about Native Americans that a lot of people are really they're unwilling or afraid to say, Native Americans are basically gone. I mean, yes, we still have reservations with some people, but the amount of people that are actually like, Native Americans that aren't like, I'm like 1/16 Cherokee on my mother's aunt's side. But, yeah, I mean, and it's a unforgivable crime that was committed a long time ago, or depending how long ago. And I'm not saying it's a good thing, but Native Americans as an actual significant portion of the populace are they're a historical footnote. And so, like you said, white guys or whoever saying they're two-spirit, yeah, that's like me saying that I'm a Zulu.
Also the two-spirit thing, that largely is because that's like what they did with their gay people. They called them two-spirit and made them special in whatever fucking way, just so they didn't have to do anything to them.
If you read into two-spirit, it has like religious and cultural significance.
Yeah, and it was very dependent upon the fact that this was in a context of small tribes, like, village type tribal things where it would be like 300 people or so.
And it was shamanistic, wasn't it?
Well, they were considered special. And the reason why was because if there's only 300 people in your little version of it, Native Americans had tribes that, were largely the same, but then they would still have little factions of like 300 people that would be in the hills and then 300 people that would be in the forest or whatever. You know what I mean? And within that population of 300 people, there'd be a few two-spirit type people. And because of the fact that literally everybody in the tribe knew every other person in the tribe, there was no real opportunity to discriminate against the person and demonize them and throw them out to the wolves or anything, because it was a member of your tribe. And so since they were different, they had to think about them and think, they had to look for the good in the person. And that's where it became treated as some sort of magical thing. And that's where the shaman thing came from. And I do think that, yeah, if somebody is
actually Native American.
Well, no, I mean, I think that would probably be the case for any small tribal situation. Like if there was 300 people or so, and you were born and you were some kind of combination of gay, transgender-ish, like just some really, really girly guy or some really, butch lesbian or whatever the fuck. Your people would be very, very non-likely to just decide that you suck, and instead be a lot more likely to try to search for the good in you and to notice that, hey, this is interesting. This is somebody who's male but has insights into the female mind. Maybe this person would be a good mediator between about conflicts and a good sort of spiritual mentor for the other people. And
there's practical applications to it. Like I was reading this. It was like a scientific study, and they were trying to figure out where gay men fit in the evolutionary chain, so to speak. And these two spirits would actually serve a practical function too. They would be helping women with these domestic duties that they would have a very difficult time doing.
Yeah, there's actually a fascinating TED Talk that I won't shut up about it because
of the physical strength difference between men and women. So gay men, and not just taking this just out of the context of natives, but just from an evolutionary standpoint, gay men were actually quite beneficial in terms of human survival because, yeah, they didn't add to the gene pool, but they had the physical strength to help with certain functions within society that women had a very difficult time doing, and the straight guys didn't want to do.
And Melissa, you are exactly right. There's a TED Talk, which you may have seen. It's one of the actual good ones where this doctor tried to understand why his son was gay from a scientific point of view. He didn't have an issue with it. And what he was talking about, and I think he participated in the research, was they found an epigenetic link between the number of male offsprings in a small population, like usually a family or tribal situation, and homosexual offspring, specifically for what you were saying, but also because the fact that homosexual offspring do not contribute to the gene pool at times of stress, which is when the epigenetics come in, is actually quite useful because you're producing a stronger member, a physically stronger member of the tribe than a woman, but someone who isn't going to compete with brothers or other male members to create for the limited mating pool, and also isn't going to create more children to strain on the resources. Basically, anytime a woman during pregnancy, if she is extremely stressed for a prolonged period through that pregnancy, whether it be through, just general stress or lack of resources or whatever, there's a much higher likelihood that the child will be gay if it's a male. And if she has more than, basically for every male offspring she has, it increases the likelihood that the next one will be gay by a certain factor. It's very interesting.
Yeah, and then I think that's when they bring in two-spirit into the LGBT thing, I kind of reject it because being gay or lesbian or bisexual even, it doesn't have a religious significance. It doesn't have a cultural significance, at least not in the same way that two-spirit does for the Native American.
And when you try to get too granular about identities in the rainbow, then it becomes like that horrible abomination flag that has first the brown and the black, and now like the extra triangle with the pink and all of that. It's like the flag was already universal. It stood for everyone, and by making it more specific, by adding different groups by name in there, you're actually diluting the universality of that symbol. Mm-hmm. It's everyone. How much more inclusive can you be than everyone? You can't. It's just ridiculous.
Well, you're not specifically highlighting certain people in the everyone.
I know, but that's the point.
But everyone is racist.
Well, yes, everyone is racist, homophobic, and
unless you're black, and then you can't be those things.
Well, no. If you're a black transgendered lesbian in a wheelchair, then the world is your oppression oyster, and we are all just the sand in your shell.
Unless, of course, you're not actually an intersectional, and then screw you, you're privileged. Go home.
Yeah, then you have internalized insert here.
But let's look at this methodology of this study where that concluded, based on looking at 5,000 people, that all these people are oppressed, even though they was kanks.
Okay. So according to the sample, 53% were from England, 24% from Wales, and 23% from Scotland. Half of them were male, 41% were female, and 8% were some sort of gender head case and potentially trans.
You say gender entities?
I said gender head case.
Head case, like lunatics.
Like fucking like gender version of Maxine Waters.
Yeah, it says non-binary, gender fluid, gender queer. I just call them head cases at this point.
Oh, by the way, after we're done looking at this, or after at some point in this program, we need to fucking talk about Maxine Waters because
you mean the crazy mob justice woman?
She's so fucking okay. Well, no, we're gonna have to say this for later. Chat, remind us because oh my god, she's just she's becoming the poster woman for like everything that is wrong with the left and the Democratic Party, and it's just so funny and awesome because it's. I'll just say this is the last thing we're gonna say. I'm gonna say, but we're gonna move on. She's getting away with it because of intersectionality. She's a black woman and she's just acting a fool and saying this craziest stuff. And like the people that should be criticizing her, like the people that she's making look bad, aren't going to say anything because she's a black woman and she gets to say whatever she wants. So let's move on.
Okay, so in this study, 58% were gay or lesbian, 30% were bi, 9% are morons, and 2% are somehow straight.
I find that very gendered.
Wait, what?
Yeah, 2% of the people in an LGBT study were straight.
Oh god.
I already want to bury my fist in my own face right now.
I just want to say that you guys are all being very insensitive because had you watched the movie, which will be the topic of a later article, which I will not name because it's spoilers, but you'd be more sympathetic to the idea that maybe you're not sure and a little confused.
Well, I just want everyone to know that as a result of being exposed to this article, I am currently experiencing severe rectal bleeding.
Oh, this isn't an article. This is a study. This is actually an upgrade from the shit we normally talk about.
Oh, that would explain why my colon has hopped out and run away in pain.
Sex is gonna suck for you for a while.
Yeah, I just gotta get my lasso.
Okay, so 14% of the people identify as trans, and another 4% say they're unsure whether they're trans or questioning their gender identity. Okay.
They've transcended transness. They're trans.
They're super trans.
It's like Dragon Ball Z. They're trans. They're trans too, or super trans too.
They grow 50 feet tall and their hair turns to fire and shit.
Oh my god! Their oppression level is over 9,000. Oh my god! I want to see this cartoon now.
35% are disabled, and considering Black's a disability these days, that's probably accurate.
Wait, are they actually saying that being Black is a disability?
Well, the way they talk about Black people, they might as well be.
Oh my god, that's terrible.
Well, I mean, these are the people that think that Black people can't understand how the internet works or how to get a driver's license. I mean, come on.
Yeah,
Well,
the progressives and the racists have a lot of overlap. Let's be real.
No, he's got a point though, because like whenever they talk about this like postmodern shit that they're about to go into, and I already know they're going to go into it. I've never even read this article. I didn't even know Gay Star existed, right? Or Gay World Star, or whatever it was called, right?
Gay World Star.
I didn't even know this website existed before today. But I already know they're going to go into this like postmodern bullshit. But yeah, every time they go into this postmodern bullshit, the message is if you were born Black, there is nothing you can do. It's not your fault.
It gets
because
better.
You're Black, your life is just gonna suck. It just doesn't matter what you do.
It's like the Star Trek movie Descent into Darkness.
Yeah.
Like really, really dark.
And 28% are religious, and I don't understand why there'd be a gay person on the planet that believes in the Jesus. Anyways.
I don't know. I find that not too unusual considering the like inexplicable loyalty that gay people seem to be born with to our various pantheon, whether it be Cher, Bette Midler, Lady Gaga. Like, I don't know. It's like the moment you come out of the closet, like, you know, a glitter-bound angel comes to you and you learn these are the people that you have to love. Love them. So that's great.
Have you ever actually been like...
Search, you can talk, but I want you to start searching for the actual questions that were asked.
Okay, I'll do that.
Yeah. Melissa.
Like, have you ever been to an LGBT, like, friendly church? I mean,
No.
it's mental... Like, and, you know, when I tell people, like, Christians this, I'm an anti-theist, so I think it's all fucking ridiculous. But...
Me too!
But if you go into these LGBT churches, like the way they go through their own like rhetoric is basically that, and like in context of Christianity, I guess their argument isn't wrong, and their argument is that everyone's a sinner, and everyone's guilty of sin, and God doesn't value one sin greater than the other. So lying in God's eyes, for example, bearing false witness, is just the same as going out and mass murdering people.
It's basically an ecumenical loophole.
Yeah.
It's like if you take this shit seriously, then sure, like we're fine.
Well, no, but that's correct because if you take it seriously, then that is correct. Like every single comparison of all the sins pale in comparison to the larger truth of what that religion entails. So like this is why like I also like I call myself an atheist, but like I am an anti-theist. Like I think theism is bullshit. I think faith is not a legitimate epistemological justification at all. Like, and it's just obvious to me that that's the case. But the point is that when I was a Christian, like the point of having a book, right? So it's like God wrote a book. Like whether you think he like wrote it directly or inspired people to then read it indirectly, like point is God wrote a book. And the idea that you're going to look at that book and then kind of like add your own interpretation and your own layers to it, it's like, no. Like when people talk about biblical literalists, they don't mean people who say like, oh, like Peter's the rock or whatever, that means he's literally a rock. No. When they talk about biblical literalists, they mean that they literally think the Bible is true. So evangelicals are real Christians, and non-evangelicals, I don't consider them Christian by my definition. If people want to have their own definition, and I understand my definition is less popular, but
I
the
get what
point
you're-
is, I'm an anti-theist now. But kind of tying back to this article with these like gay religious people talking about persecution, I feel like the reason that number is a lot lower than you'd expect it to be is that you might have kind of like gay evangelicals who are actually true to the scripture and true to how all of that works. And then when a gay minister tells them like, I don't think that the gay marriage is right or whatever, it's like, as a gay person and a gay Christian, the correct objective answer is to be like, yeah, you're correct. You like read that we're reading the same book and that's what it says. Like they didn't put it on there on accident. They didn't accidentally exclude anything that just like, condones gayness. It's not a thing. So for me, I'm different from a lot of these people who claim that like, oh, I'm gay and I'm persecuted by my religion, because for me, like, first I was an evangelical Christian. Then I had a stage where I was struggling with my Christianity and struggling with being gay. And then I had a period where I was just gay. Like I didn't have a period where I was like secure with one and then struggling with the other. It was like the two of them were clearly in opposition, and it strikes me as so disingenuous that other gay people don't see that when they're like gay Christians. And I know that's a hot take, but anyway, thanks for indulging me.
Hey, Bacon, could you present me to everyone?
Sure, hold on a moment.
Okay.
Stop.
So
Present. There you go.
okay, so I found the part of the that we wanted to be looking at in the study because I don't know what the fuck you were doing. I told you to do it and you didn't. So I had to, if you want something done, you got to do it yourself, apparently. Okay, so experiences in LGBT communities. Local LGBT communities are important social networks for many LGBT people where they feel welcome, supported, and able to be themselves. However, many LGBT people fucking
Alphabet people.
Just say
yeah.
gay.
However, many intersectionals don't consider their local intersectional specific spaces welcoming, and some even have experienced discrimination and poor treatment from other intersectional people because of their identity. Now, I shouldn't say intersectional, because gay bars are not necessarily intersectional, and that's what they're trying to change by doing this study. So 1 in 4 LGBT people, 23%, attend LGBT specific venues or events in their local community at least once a month. Sort of seems like it would be more, but okay. Then it says Black, Asian, and minority ethnic LGBT people are about twice as likely to attend LGBT specific venues or events as white LGBT people, 45% compared to 22%. I find that already by itself very interesting.
Actually, for the Black people, I would think that would have to do with the fact that the Black community is, in general, much less accepting of non-heterosexual relationships just as a group than, say, white people. Because I do know that all the... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Well, I would say that there's a lot of different reasons for that. I definitely would say that that's very likely one of those reasons. But I think that already, right out the gate, we know that that's going to skew the statistic, because that means that LGBT venues are not necessarily a majority, but they're going to have a high concentration of racial minorities in them, because they're already just saying that right out the gate. So it says, however, a third of LGBT people, 35%, say they never attend LGBT specific venues or events. That's interesting. Also, half of LGBT people, 50%, living in rural areas never attend LGBT specific venues or events, compared to a third of LGBT people, 32%, living in urban areas. Bi people are most likely to say they never attend. 2/3 of LGBT people consider their local community to be welcoming. I may not be out to everybody, but okay, I don't need to fucking read this. I want more numbers. I want numbers about racism.
Gaysism.
But we've already gotten wait. Okay. More than geez, see, this is what they always do this with feminist studies. They are really, really bad about actually just like making the numbers easy to digest. Like I noticed this when I was trying to get to the bottom of Title IX and like actually look at Title IX's homepage and figure out how exactly it works, that they're able to hold universities hostage at a federal level and make it so that young men are, you know, being prosecuted without trials. And I had to just go through all this fucking text and read all this shit until it finally got to the meat of it. And they do this. They water it down with all of this, you know, personal as political stuff. And it's like, look, this is supposed to be a study, but half of like all of the stuff in red is just like testimonials from people. Why can't you make it slightly easier? And there's a reason for that. It's because it's totally biased. They are trying to, you know, push a specific agenda in here. So, I think everything in Black we could read. Half of Black, Asian, and minority ethnic LGBT people, 51%, have experienced discrimination or poor treatment because of their ethnicity from others in their local LGBT community. This number rises to 3 in 5 Black LGBT people. Now, granted, because of the fact that they are more likely to go out to places, where is that discrimination coming from? Is it coming from the white people who aren't actually there as often? I don't know. I don't really know. And also, how did you include, like, what's the metric that you say is discrimination? Like, is not wanting to date somebody discrimination?
No, that's exactly what it is. I guarantee you, it's going to get to the point where they're like, you know, certain percent. Like, I guarantee it's in this somewhere. A certain percentage of white people don't want to date Black person, right? That's
well, and
this is not unique amongst LGBT people, right? Like there was a study OkCupid did, and white women were overwhelmingly, like double digit, overwhelmingly unlikely to even message a Black man over everyone else.
Sure,
they didn't overwhelmingly. So this is not something that's unique to and this isn't even unique to white people.
Sure,
like,
but I want to add that there's all sorts of like Asian, Black, and Latino gay guys who will tell you, yeah, I don't date Black men.
Yeah,
like,
I don't fuck with Black men.
I've known numerous, like the vast majority of Black gay guys I know end up almost exclusively dating white guys. Like, if you're in and like, I don't know what the I do not want to say why this is, but in the gay community, almost everybody wants to date like white and Latino guys, and that's just how it is, including other Black and Asian guys. It's just sort of how it is.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Yeah.
Dude, yeah, like that was the thing. My first actual like kind of like direct experience with a person just like straight up saying like their racial preference sexually was actually, I was an adult, and it was when I was living in China teaching ESL. So this is maybe a few years ago. And it was when I was talking to like the other like white female teachers, and they're like, so do you think that Asian men are attractive? And I'm like, yeah, like why wouldn't I? Like that, why wouldn't I? And she was like, huh, really? Because like I don't get it, right? And like I was like, huh, and like it kind of immediately sort of made sense, you know. And then I kind of felt foolish that I hadn't noticed it earlier, and then it kind of became like a weird backdoor into this whole idea. But like to me, the whole idea of having a racial preference is that like I've seen examples of unattractive and extremely attractive people of both genders, of any like racial combination that you could kind of realistically encounter. And to me, that kind of says like, if you ask me like, so like what races are you into? It's like what you're asking me is like, I'd have to conceive of that entire population and then try to imagine the distribution of like the traits within those races that I like versus don't like and how it's distributed, and then like come up with a percentage and then compare the percentages. And it's like, I don't know. I know it's kind of like race. Like, you know when you see it, and it's like attraction is also the same way. So anyway.
You think about this much deeper than I do. Usually when people ask me about preferences, I say, well, it's a lot like hair color. You know, you ask someone like, oh, I think blondes are hot. That doesn't mean that they think that all brunettes and redheads are ugly. It just means that that rises to the top. That's their first preference. I think that.
So,
wait. I mean, a lot of it for me is, and maybe this, I don't know if this is true or not, but I don't run into, like, the reason I don't date black men is I don't run into gay black men. I don't have to deal with gay black men because gay black men are looking for dudes to fuck. I have to deal with straight black men. And they're fucking irritating. And I hate everything about no, they are. They'll come up to you, they'll come up behind you. Like, here's how they'll hit on you. Like, if you're a trans woman, here's how they'll hit on you.
Just for the record, the gay black men will do that shit too. Like, I have
they'll come up behind you
black men try to fucking come and bump and grind with me while I was literally pissing.
No, like, he'll come up behind me.
This is not a hashtag not all, this is a hashtag all. Princess coming with the hashtag all, just to be clear.
This black guy will come up behind me, he's interested in me, he'll go, psst, 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 psst. Hey baby girl, and I can't stand being hit on like that. Like, it drives me fucking crazy.
I have actually hooked up with black guys before. I've never dated one, but I have hooked up with them before, more than one actually, because I've just had lots of sex mainly. I'm not mostly attracted to black guys. Like, it's not usually my thing, but like, there's been times in which it seemed like it was
convenient
or something. Yeah, or like
whores unite,
or specific guys that were actually just specifically hot in certain ways, you know. So
you never know. Sometimes you see them
thrown at me. It was like this drunk guy just being like, "On your asshole," and it's just kind of like that one. You know, normally it's fine if you don't slur it, but like when you do slur it, it's like literally like a negative 100% of the same effect, right?
yeah. You know, you can fuck up that.
It just doesn't inspire a lot of faith.
Well, I was actually saying last week that like that's actually a good way to get laid in the gay community is literally to say.
That's what reminded me of it. I like legit had an experience like that, but I was like, it wasn't really what.
Yeah. No, you can fumble that. You can definitely fumble that touchdown. Like, no, when I would do it was like when you're talking to a guy at a bar and you just get that fucking impression. See. For me, if anyone can imagine this about my personality, I actually go into kind of, you know, orator, storytelling, like charisma type mode at bars when I get a little bit drunk and I'm talking to a guy, and the guy apparently likes listening to me talk, and he's like leaning in and laughing at all my jokes, and I'm like, I realize after about 10-15 minutes of him acting like that he definitely wants to fuck me, and I'm thinking, okay, it's like after 1, and honestly, we could get out of here. And so I just wait for there to be a pause in the conversation. And, you know, if it goes on for like over 5 seconds, he like just doesn't say anything at all. Then I confidently, without slurring, say, do you like getting your ass eaten? You know, and that works. Not like, I'm gonna eat your asshole. You know what I mean?
I'm gonna tongue punch your fart box like a fucking combat fatality.
The worst one I ever had was some old Asian dude at a bathhouse who's like, you want stick fist up my asshole? At that point, I was like, it did not inspire a salute. I said he was an old Asian dude, so okay. No.
Was he hot?
No, he was not hot. He had hair coming out of his ears, and he looked like, you know, like those yakuzas you see in like Japanese films with the towels around them in the spa. Yeah, he looked like that, but without the tattoos. It wasn't good.
Okay, you guys, I want to get back to this thing because I'm actually noticing something very, very interesting about this you know, little study that concluded that everything that feminists have been saying all these years is actually true because they did a study. So remember how they said earlier, and I made specific note of this, that ethnic minorities and racial minorities are a lot more likely, like twice as likely, to actually go to LGBT spaces as people, like white people. Like white people don't really go to them anymore. Right. Well, and then they say half of Black, Asian, and minority ethnic LGBT people have experienced discrimination or poor treatment, which could be coming from each other, statistically seems the most likely thing. Well, then I started looking at these little personal is political stuff, and all these little red. If you look at what I'm, scrolling my cursor over, all of these things say things like mainstream LGBTQ spaces exclude people of color, migrants, and disabled people. Although I usually feel safe, I understand that this is contingent and my sexuality remains othered by mainstream culture. Then somebody says casual racism is commonplace in LGBT bars and clubs, LGBT community events, unless people of color specific are largely white attended and white led. Despite what the statistic said earlier, this can feel exclusive. Feelings of being the visible other aren't nice and discourage me from attending events. Well, that's weird because your little friends that are women of color sure seem to go to them, according to this statistic in this very study. Okay, in an LGBT bar, on more than one occasion, drunk people have come over to pet my hair and ask inappropriate questions regarding my race. I don't believe you. I think you're lying. Next.
I have never went up to anybody at any point in my life and said, you know what I really want to do? Like, not meeting them, nothing. But I'd say to them, you know what I really want to do? I want to stick my hands in your fucking hair. Like,
I did. I wanted to actually. I was walking down the street and I saw a woman with like such ridiculously platinum blonde hair that it looked like you could like break it, and I wanted to touch it just because and that was at the mall the other day, and I was like, wait, I actually had the urge to kind of want to touch someone's hair, and it was a white woman. So just because it was weird looking, it was like, oh, look at her platinum hair. Like, I wonder how long she left the bleach in for. That's crazy.
yeah.
Also, another thing I want to notice about these stories is they're mostly women, except for one.
They're pretty much all women. They're pretty. Yeah, that was one of the other things that I was going to say. So
one dude and one maybe dude.
Yeah,
they're all women. Yeah, and this study was 50% men.
Yeah, and so it's funny. Like it's like they have this study where where first of all they tell us explicitly at the beginning that not most of the people, but like
the plurality of the respondents are men.
Oh, no. What they tell us at the beginning is that racial minorities are far more likely to go out to these type of events. And then they get little testimonials from all these people that just complain about the events and say, well, these events are racist. And it's like, well, why do you go all the fucking time? Obviously, it's not the problem with the events. The problem is with you people. It's like if anybody reads this, if you were a neutral observer from, some weird far off land where they didn't have LGBT spaces, like if you were an alien looking at this, it would be like, well, it's pretty self-explanatory. Like, you people will never be happy because you are the people that, for whatever reason, you're the people that are far more likely to show up to these things. And then when you get there, you still complain about the racism from the people who are less likely to show up from these things. And it's mostly these fucking whiny ass women who are doing it.
Hey,
well,
guys,
and I got something like all these Asian transgenders or transsexuals, they can just go ahead and shut the fuck up. These bitches are on the top of the tranny pile. Straight up, they can just straight shut the fuck up. They have the easiest time passing. They have and everybody's got fucking yellow fever. And like among trans attracted men, the yellow fever from being straight carries right the fuck on over. So all these Asian trans women could just go ahead and shut the fuck up. Every last one of them.
Yeah. The white patriarchal male colonialist is basically like, oh, so you were born with a penis? Well, you're still Asian.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I'm really sorry. I've been disconnected 3 times now. I think it's just the area that I'm in, so I'm just gonna go now. But
okay.
Okay,
see you later. Thanks for coming on.
This was fun. I hope to get back to a regular, stable internet connection soon. Talk to you guys later.
Later.
Okay, bye.
Also, one last thing I wanted to say on this subject is these idiots don't understand that men bond through banter.
Yeah.
It's like it's pissy women like, oh my god, the men have jokes with each other. It's like, that's how men bond.
Wait, which one said that? Which one?
No, and I'm not saying all of it, but this is just what this whole concept and bullshit's boiling down to, is them being like, oh, the men are telling jokes to each other, and that makes me as a woman uncomfortable. It's like, Men bond through banter. If you were born a man, you would actually know that.
So I just want to look.
I mean, none of them actually said that. But
So LGBT events are generally hostile towards openly religious people, particularly Jews and Muslims, in my opinion. Well, that's interesting because they're fighting with each other. Like, I don't know.
I'm not gonna lie. The minute a guy comes up to me and says he's a fucking muzzy, I'd be like, you need to get the fuck away from me. You just need to get the fuck away from me.
Has that ever happened though? Are there Muslims in your area?
Oh no, well, see, and depending on what culture they come from, it's actually permissible for them to sleep with an Asian or a trans woman or even marry one, depending on the culture they come from. It's just, I don't have time for craziness, and I'm not putting on a fucking burqa. You can go ahead and suck my dick.
So, okay, this next person says, I guess it's the usual microaggression. Oh, you mean the usual people interacting with each other thing that kind of makes you uncomfortable sometimes because you're hypersensitive. Okay, I guess it's the usual that, and then in quotes, but you're Muslim. How can you be gay? I get from all types of people. Yeah, no shit. Sometimes you think you're safe and you find inclusive LGBT groups, but even then, I get it from all sides. From white people for not being white. Oh, please, that's not. I don't believe you. I do not believe that you live in London and that you're getting shit from white people for not being white. Like those people wouldn't even hang out with you. Like, I'm sure there are like skinheads in London if you like hunt really hard, but like I don't think that this like gay Muslim had like knows where to fucking meet up with them. You know, like shut up. Okay, so LGBT terms, but I get it from all sides. From white people for not being white, from brown people for not being brown enough, from Muslim LGBT people for not being Muslim enough. Well, maybe you should not be any of those things and go ligtao. Lesbians go their own way or some crap. I don't know.
or maybe
Well, I mean, and here's the
dude,
deal. Here's the deal. Being a Muslim or being a Christian or being any religion is fundamentally a choice. And if you don't like the association that you're getting from Islam, then maybe it's time to fucking bounce. Like, tell Islam to go fucking swivel.
Yeah, and tell the LGBT community to go fucking.
Yeah, add LGBT to the fucking list of religions. But like that's exactly the point I wanted to make was that like, well, it's partially that, but it's also like when you mentioned, you know, LGBT, I guess having a disposition to like distrusting Islam and as well as Judaism. The Judaism part is harder to explain, I think, than the Islam part. Because there's a Sharia in Islam and fucking throwing gays off a roof. It's kind of hard not to notice. But like the issue with Judaism is this infusion of it with also the ethnicity, and then that kind of comes into conflict with this idea that like to be a gay Christian, it's like you kind of choose to be Christian. Like if you disavow the Christian principles, you're kind of not really a Christian anymore, and Christians will be comfortable telling you that and saying here's how to get back on the thing. But then if you imagine being like a gay Jew, it's kind of like both of those you could be sort of born into. And that kind of creates this conflict here. And I'm wondering if that might be part of where that stat's coming from. But that was something I kind of noticed as we were running through that bit.
Okay. So let's see what Molly has to say. She looks very important. Her personal is very political. I have found that some heterosexual people, as well as some lesbians, have looked down on me as a bisexual person. They felt I was indecisive in being able to pick a straight or gay path. I have found that especially upsetting coming from LGBT people because I thought their ideology was inclusive. Like, okay, first, I don't even know if I believe that Molly exists. First of all, like, I don't know if anybody would actually write out that little paragraph unironically. Like, it seems like maybe it's like, is she actually just a teacher's pet that is paid to say things like that? But the fact that she included the word ideology, like, oh, so it's interesting that you highlight that. Like, that's the statement of that they really, really want everybody to emphasize, because, you know, obviously what that means is, according to Stonewall, this little people who conducted this feminist study, They want LGBT people to be uniform and to be more inclusive with our ideology. And it's like, well, LGBT is a very, very broad demographic that is not necessarily unified by ideology. And obviously, it's supposed to be. Like, you're coming right out and saying all people of this type of demographic, as every lesbian, gay, bisexual, trans person is supposed to be an ideologue. And obviously, we know what that ideology is. So
I'm part of the LGBT Technicolor rainbow, but trust me, my ideology, honey, is nowhere along lines of intersectionality. I'll tell you to fucking swivel. Do what you want with your life. I don't care. Call yourself what you want. I don't give a shit. I mean, I might mock it. I might think you're ridiculous. You call yourself a fucking dragonkin. But at the end of the day, I honestly don't give a shit if you call yourself one or not. I'll just mock it. Yeah, they're inclusive ideology. I don't have an inclusive ideology. My ideology is probably very exclusive. If you're an American, great. If you're not, get the fuck out. That's my ideology.
So I'm trying to, so this is all about biphobia. Biphobia is fucking dumb. I don't fucking care. So here's the trans part. More than a third of trans people have experienced discrimination and poor treatment in their local LGBT bar because of being trans. Okay, shocker. While a shocking number of LGBT people have experienced discrimination and poor treatment from others in their local LGBT communities, many LGBT people stand up for each other, demand more inclusivity, and want LGBT venues and events to be welcoming environments for all LGBT people, including the racial minorities who show up at around twice the rate as white people, and yet still complain about all the white people that are there. Yeah, I'm sure that's clearly you have a really great strategy about inclusion. Like, so recommendations. Oh, okay, thanks. Cool. We have recommendations. I thought that this was a study. I didn't think that this was a manifesto, but here we go. For LGBT organizations, community groups, and venues. 1, okay, right off the bat, ensure that black, Asian, and minority, ethnic, disabled, bi, and trans people. Let's make sure that we let everybody know who's boss. Ensure that black, Asian, and minority, disabled, bi, and trans people of different ages and faith are in charge of the white gay men. That's what it's saying. That's what they want. They're saying that they want them to be included, but what that really means is okay. So even though they're overrepresented, there's literally twice the amount of these type of people attending these events. They're then or not twice the amount, but twice the likelihood of them to attend the events. They're saying that they need even more power paid to them. So they're overrepresented, but apparently they're not being treated well enough. And then, okay, recognize that discrimination exists within LGBT communities as it does in society as a whole, and ensure that your organization has a policy to tackle discrimination and abuse of all kinds, including that experienced by bi and trans people in LGBT spaces. Basically, what it's saying right there is that there needs to be an extra specific clause that makes it so that transgender straight girls can start ordering people around by claiming that they were discriminated against. Because mostly people don't really actually care about that stuff, but if a girl says I'm bi or I'm trans and she wants to start ordering people around and they say, no, you don't get to order me around, she says, yes, I do. There's a specific clause. Bye, Felicia. She can do that. So next, access anti-discrimination training to help you examine current practice and to develop and implement new policies. So they want you to attend reprogramming session, probably. Next, collect diversity data on the people who use your service or interact with your organization to identify any areas of the LGBT community who are underrepresented, which, by the way, we already know do not exist because they are all overrepresented. But okay, they want people searching for potential places where maybe they are underrepresented. The minorities are underrepresented because even though they aren't, well, they have to the Stonewall black lesbian with big hair type people have to justify their existence by trying to scour the London scene, searching deeply for an area where racial minority LGBT people are actually discriminated against within LGBT spaces, because even within this study, we know that basically the reverse is true. Next, develop meaningful partnerships with other non-LGBT community groups. For example, Black, Asian, and minority, ethnic, or disabled groups to learn from each other, support each other's work, share information and resources, or run joint projects, campaigns, and training. Basically, find the other neo-Marxists in your area and network so that you have alliances, so that if you want to protest, you can get some straight people to come. Next, explore developing groups or services designed for and led by people from identities that are currently underrepresented or lack visibility. I don't, didn't they already say that? Didn't they? Is that really okay. Next, choose venues and plan events that are accessible to all parts of the LGBT community. This may require diverse. Okay, they're just repeating themselves. You already kind of said that. For everyone within LGBT communities, 1, listen to others within the LGBT community whose sexual orientation or gender identity may be different to your own. Why? I'm just trying to get laid. Find out more by reading up online and challenge your own assumptions. You mean read Everyday Feminism. Be aware that other people's lives and experiences may be different than to your own. You mean the personal is political. You mean people who, let's play the professional. Okay, we all know what they mean. Next, find out and support organizations which represent different groups within the LGBT community. For example, Black, Asian, and minority, ethnic, LGBT. These people are such fucking racists.
In a sense, fuck you, pay me is the last one.
In a sense, what?
It's fuck you, pay me is the one you just read.
Yeah. Fuck you, pay me. We're and we're helping out these poor Black people because they're, you know, like they need lots of help because they're fucking animals, according to Stonewall UK. They're just. Because even though they are twice as likely to attend these spaces, they make themselves miserable, and we should be doing more to help them because
reasons.
Because give us money and we can do that, and don't ask too many questions. You're white, basically, is what this study is. So yeah, I'm actually really glad that you linked the Gay Star article, because looking at this study is like, this is everything that is wrong with current LGBT culture. This particular study, it's just awful. It's okay. So let's stop presenting me first.
Okay, hold on. Let me unpresent you.
And
stop presenting. There we go. Hopefully, there we go.
Let's hope our guest comes back.
Okay, yeah, she had to go get a beer and piss, so she'll be back.
Okay.
Okay, you're still presenting you.
Oh, yeah, I will. I'll stop that. Okay.
Okay. And let me represent me. Oh, crap, I don't want to put on my own thing. Okay, hold on. Let me get the next article loaded.
Okay.
Present to everyone.
So I ate my tiramisu right before I read through that thing, as I had a little bit of a caffeine.
Of course you did.
You lucky bastard. I'm lactose intolerant, so I can say that.
But yeah, that was my I don't think I'm gonna get ranting like I did at that. But man, I mean, I'm sorry. Lots to unpack here.
Now, I'm just going to say this for the next article. This screenshot of this guy looking like a fish gasping for air really takes this entire piece of shit into context. I mean, Pink News, Gay Star News, The Advocate, they're generally my dumpster fires of gay shit that I've looked through to try to find like the good nuggets that get kicked out and when something pops. But yeah, this article right here, this face, it's perfect.
Yeah. And by the way, Trump could reverse same-sex marriage, says plaintiff who helped legalize it. And apparently he could also overturn Roe versus Wade, or it wouldn't be him, it would be the fucking justices. You know what? I'm just going to come right out and say it, and it's not that I am saying either or one way or the other. I don't care. I just don't care about either of those things. It's not that I'm like want to make abortions illegal or to make it so that gay guys can't get married. It's mostly just that I don't care. Like, I don't ever plan on getting married, and I definitely am not going to have anything to do with an abortion. I don't care. And I also think that anybody who cares about these issues could theoretically solve their own problems. Like, it's like, you don't have to get pregnant. It's not the end of the world to not get pregnant. And similarly, like, you can, the only really good argument for gay marriage that I know of is the next of kin medical type thing, where or if somebody dies, like, do you get your husband's possessions, or does the family get to just come in and take everything? But other than that, like, no, I don't really see. So
yeah, that's like my issue that I had with I think it was Ben Shapiro saying, "Oh, gay marriage shouldn't even exist." Man, it's like, dude, there's a lot of other legal like shit around marriage besides your religious, fuckery that actually comes into account. Like, if someone gets sick, if someone dies, if what happens to someone's property, how do kids deal with any of this? There's a lot of other legal shit that, excluding the what's it called, the religious sky daddy bullshit. But also, as far as our legal system goes, the Supreme Court can't just say, yeah, we're just going to say gay marriage is illegal now because reasons, lols, bro. They can't just say that, for the fuck of it. They actually have to have someone actually has to, and that's the thing that they're kind of banking on, is people being, ignorant of how our legal system works. No, someone actually has to claim that gay marriage has damaged them. It has to go through a bunch of our different district court systems, get appealed a few times, and then go to the Supreme Court before this will ever be an issue. And that takes years to do. It's not something that's going to happen right now. They're not going to be like, yeah, gay marriage, fuck it, it's illegal now. That's not how that shit works. And they don't. And they're just banking on ignorance to get people going, like this dude.
They just want a whole bunch of what?
Yeah, they want everyone to look as unhinged as the guy on the screen.
Yeah. Wait, I want to look at this Milo Yiannopoulos article. Can you click on that? That looks more interesting to me.
It is. That was just a pretty quick pump and dump.
Okay. So Milo Yiannopoulos allegedly said, "I hope journalists are murdered." Let's see what he really said.
Former alt-right icon.
What is that even like? Okay, right out the gate. That's a lot to unpack here. Former alt-right icon. So the alt-right doesn't like him anymore, but according, they're admitting that, but do they even know what the alt-right supposedly is? Because when they say alt-right, they just mean conservative at all that happens to be popular amongst young people. That's what Pink Star News means when they say alt-right.
Well, by their moronic standards, I'm alt.
We're doing Pink News. I hope you wash your monitor after this.
Don't worry, it's already got, my computer's already gotten internet STDs by now.
Former alt-right icon Milo Yiannopoulos texted a newspaper saying that he hopes that squads start gunning journalists down on site. No, he didn't. He didn't do that. That's fucking fraud. Whoever, that was a fucking hoax. Some other fucking person did that. What the fuck? Who on earth would think that Milo Yiannopoulos would be so fucking stupid to actually do that? And if he did, no. After they discovered his identity, click on that. The threat, which he texted to a New York Observer, came into publication after statement. But after they discovered, how did they discover his identity? Restaurant couples after.
Yeah, it's not even related.
No, it's just this looks like it's going to be go back. So the threat, which was texted to the New York Observer, came after the publication asked him for a statement after his booking was refused at a restaurant. I can't wait for the vigilante squads to start gunning down journalists on site. The far right provocateur texted a reporter for the New York Observer from the publication, reported SPLC's. Oh my fucking god! But
they're liars.
But here's the part that I don't get about these people.
Where's the evidence? Like, where's what? Like, you don't just. It really just sounds like this is a fucking lie. Like, and they're not like. It's like, wouldn't you want to take like a screenshot of the text and like, what does it? This is sent from Milo Yiannopoulos' personal home phone number, which, by the way, you can look up in the white pages, so you know it's really him or something. Like, what the actual fuck? Like, there's no fucking way that this is true. He's not like you can say a lot of things about him politically and but like he has been in the provocateur game long enough that he knows which rules not to break, and this is a very, very obvious one.
Mm-hmm. Let's it is the SPLC.
Scroll down a little bit. So we'll just keep going.
No, that's not the end. Okay, fuck. How do I get rid of you pop-up? Never mind, I paused it. Anything here?
Oh, no.
Taking an old live stream with internet figure, age of consent arbitrarily, one size fits all. I don't care about him. Yeah, this is basically just rehashing his potential pedophilia thing right now.
So this is just it just seems like it's just entirely a completely fraudulent smear article that makes a completely baseless allegation about him, does not provide any evidence, and that is it.
Yeah, and they're doing it because he just joined UKIP, and this is a British news site. And everyone's like, oh my god, UKIP might actually be popular now.
I haven't even had time to like actually catch up on like what the deal is with UKIP. Like, I don't really understand it.
I don't know, and I don't know or care either. I just know it's hilarious to watch everyone piss a fit over it.
Literally, the only thing I know about British politics is that Nigel Farage is the only thing those fuckers have done right since Margaret Thatcher.
I love
Margaret Thatcher was the only thing they did right since colonialism.
Well, they had Churchill.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't have much opinion about.
I have to research Churchill to make sure he's not another Abraham Lincoln.
How is that a bad thing? No, I don't care right now. I'm too drunk to care.
Okay, so let's move on to the next article.
Okay, so some Netflix series has done a thing. Yeah, Netflix Alex Strangelove was never erasing bisexuality. I've not watched this yet. I will probably review this at some point because, well, I've got nothing to do on the weekend sometimes. But yeah, I don't. Did I read this?
Wait. Is that Theron Meyer out of makeup?
What, the dude?
Yeah.
Oh my god, now we're gonna get like 50 like, oh my god, how dare you be so transphobic tweets. I would love to tell her to fuck herself.
No, we're not. Nobody fucking likes Theron anymore. She sacrificed all of her integrity, and the only fucking...
I like Theron. I'm sorry, I like Theron.
No, you don't like Theron. You are waiting patiently for a redemptive story arc. So that
I like her. I like her a lot. I just don't agree with her at the moment.
Yeah, you're waiting patiently for a redemptive story arc so that you can like her again because you have a personal attachment to her as an individual. But you fucking will admit, as well as everybody, that she has taken a very, very wrong turn.
Yeah, and one thing that's really interesting because Lauren Southern released her documentary Farmlands, which this is terrible, but the documentary is kind of a secret comedy because like Lauren Southern is so pretty that like she can't really be a journalist. And I mean it in the nicest way possible, because like she'll do these like shots of her like walking down an alleyway, right, with her talking, and like the wind's blowing in her hair, and it's just like it's so fucking cover girl. So like she'll literally just be interviewing a woman who's like explaining how like her family was like savagely murdered in the most like gruesome ways you can imagine, and then it cuts to like Lauren Southern, and it's like a fucking like runway scene, and it's just like it was a really weird, mixed up emotional experience to watch that documentary. But overall, like, kudos to like the work she did with that and everything. I don't want to diminish that, even though like, God, I fucking did. I feel like a dick now. But the point is, Theron Meyer early on expressed like concerns because bitch is from South Africa. If you don't know, she's from South Africa. Like that's where she's from. So like, I really want to hear what she has to say about that documentary, because she expressed concerns about, you know, people among Lauren Southern's crew who have interest in that whole issue of the farm murders in South Africa. So that's the current thing I'm waiting on Theron Meyer. I'd really love to hear that insight from her.
Well, if my guess is accurate, you're never going to get it, because Theron Meyer no longer talks about anything that she like actually believes deep down, because for some fucking reason she decided to become ContraPoints' little sidekick. She would be the Wonder Girl to Wonder Woman if ContraPoints in an alternate reality was Wonder Woman, and therefore Theron doesn't ever say anything that
you know what it really kind of gets me about Theron is she's probably single-handedly the main reason I even got into like the YouTube sphere. Like my main motivation, because like she was very libertarian, like, and I have a lot of problems with libertarians, but she was like this libertarian-minded, you know, trans woman that was articulate, was able to express these very complex ideas and do so well. And I was, you know, it was kind of a motivation for me to get into doing YouTube and, you know, eventually radio. But, and then she kind of got buddy with ContraPoints and just went way off the rails for me, like way off the rails.
Yeah, no, and it's really disappointing. And like I wouldn't, you know, I do try not to sit around trash talking other YouTubers that are within my sphere that I've, you know, Melissa, you've been on a stream with me and Theron. Like, I think you actually invited Theron, showed up.
Yeah.
We used to be like friendly with this person. I don't like to sit around trash talking people. But the way that Theron not just kind of like backpedaled, but completely forsook basically every argument that she made over the course of like 2 years. She said, basically, I take it all back, and then went on to not just like be really rude to everybody on Twitter, and like every time anyone would talk about ContraPoints, Theron would be right there to defend ContraPoints, so that ContraPoints didn't have to defend ContraPoints' self, apparently. And that was really irritating. But the worst thing about it of all, and this is why I will just openly talk smack about her, is that she never actually really spends a whole lot of time talking about what her new opinions actually are. It's always like, you know what? I decided that actually I don't like conservative people, and they're assholes, and a lot of them are racist because reasons, and now I'm just like not really going to make videos anymore. It's like kind of what it seems like. And it's like, well, okay, you should explain yourself a little bit better. And she didn't. She like drank fucking malt liquor with a straw and pretended to cry. And I was like, I'm sorry, you're not fucking crying. That is not like, you're not a good actress. Don't even pretend.
Yeah, and
that was the thing, is she got her like Baron Media like sponsorship or whatever, and there were like a couple of videos. So basically, the thing that came out of it was just like
she got a sponsorship
for a drag queenie. Yeah, she had the Baron Media sponsorship, and then like
when did that happen? When did that happen?
This happened, I believe, maybe about a year ago, maybe just over a year ago.
So was that was right before she just backpedaled on all of her positions?
I was gonna say it was either before or after Trump became president, but then I didn't say that because I realized that's like a worthless statement. But
I'm just wondering if there's an actual.
I don't remember.
I'm just wondering if there's an actual timeline trajectory that would point evidence that would add evidence towards the notion that Theron actually doesn't talk about what she really thinks anymore because somebody just actually bought her out.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the best evidence of that is just to go to YouTube channel and see what's there. And like, you're generally kind of right. Like, she hasn't really produced much at all. And like, the best evidence of this is last time I checked, she had this banner up, which is like, you know, Barron Media sponsored, and we're gonna upload at least like so many videos a week or whatever it is. So there's like a promised timeline, you know, and like, you know, that's kind of like obviously isn't doing that. But like, the thing is that like, you know, as much as like yeah, like there's a lot of disappointment expressed in her, I think it reflects the fact that we originally saw like a lot of really cool and awesome potential things. And like, you know, I know that like there have been times in my life when I've like actually been leftist. There have been times in my life when I've literally, yeah, that's right, hot fucking take, Gaytriarchy number 17 is the one where Space Pan admits he was at some point leftist, literally left of the center. That's insane. That's retarded. I wasn't there long. It's okay.
You were just you were a feminist by default. You said so in the video that you guessed it for my channel.
But feminism, yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. But I would consider like a lot of right wing and conservative people are still feminists. They're still incredibly gynocentric.
Yeah.
And feminism is kind of like this basic bitch default position you get served to you, and if you're not like on the up and up, or not interested enough to like counteract it or, you know, move against it, then it's kind of like a default. But what I wanted to get at was that like with Theron Meyer, like there's disappointment expressed, right? And it's legitimate, and I don't want to like squelch any of that. What I do want to say though is the reason we're even having this conversation though is because like if you go back to, I believe this was in either 2015 or 2014, I believe 2015, in like the summer, she had a debate with Kevin Logan, and that debate it really, really emotionally struck me in a way that a debate generally doesn't. Debates are generally a little bit dry. But there was a point where Kevin Logan tried to pull out this classic feminist card where they're just like, MRAs don't really give a shit. It's all about bashing feminists, and they never fucking do anything. And she just immediately jumped in there and was like I don't know if she actually said fuck you, but like in so many words, just like fuck you for saying that. Like, we do so much work. We don't have the kind of support you have. And like all the points, like she just like so well condensed it and just like shot it fucking straight at his face. And like, it was, to me, it was really inspiring. It was just this like really like because it was genuine. Like, she really meant it at that point. And like, to me, it's inconceivable to me that like none of that's still in her, that she doesn't still believe it. I think she's just looking at other things, and she's just having different, it's a disagreement of fact. I feel like genuinely, virtually, I can't see her as not a good person. And I know that she's going through a transition that involves, you know, messing with your hormones. And like, I really feel like, and so this is almost contrary to a lot of what we talk about, but like, I kind of feel like if someone is identifying as trans and you know they're going through hormone treatment, like, really give them some space. Like, really, as much as you really can, try to like how often do we say like, oh, you're kind of, it's the hormones, right? Or think about like teenagers, their behavior is fucking erratic, and it's just kind of understood. It's like, yeah, you have hormones that you do fucking retarded things, and it's like, clearly, like with trans people, like, give them the leeway, you know, insofar as you can, insofar as it's reasonable. The more you can, the better, I think.
Yeah, and, no, and you know, I totally see what you're saying. She's super young, and Theron is somebody that is very, very independent minded, and for the most part, and very much thinks for themselves, and is prone to flip-flopping on certain issues and certain opinions about certain people. Like, used to be besties with Blair White, and then something happened between them, and like, you know, all these things, and now it's supposed to be besties with ContraPoints, and there's no telling all the actual intricacies that have happened with Theron that led Theron to this point. Like, I don't believe it's so simple as just simple money, like somebody bought Theron out. What I imagine, you know, like, and this is just my most educated guess, would be that Theron encountered enough crappy far-right people, or like, you know, maybe even what some people would call alt-right, or like, you know, the type of people that I refer to as shackers, the people who, you know, create sock puppet account armies, and will follow you around and call you an ugly tranny and or say post the n-word in your chat over and over, like those type of people. Maybe Theron had some extra run-in, because like I know Theron has had run-ins with them before from the turfs, because we talked about that. Maybe Theron had run-ins with the weird ones that are shackers. When I say the word shacker, everybody keep in mind it's some strange combination of a hacker and a troll, and people who make lots of sock puppet accounts and just harass people online. And it does appear to be a lot of these people will take money to harass people. So maybe Theron being somebody who doesn't have a lot of friends, like she will be on YouTube and a lot of people would be interested in being friends with her, but she's kind of like cold and doesn't really talk to that many people. Well, somebody that's fairly isolated has a few negative run-ins with what she believes to be a sample selection of people that represents the right wing, and she decides, wait, these people are horrible. But in actuality, it was actually just a small subset of potentially these shacker people who are just creating a bunch of sock puppet accounts to fuck with her. And it got under her skin. And so she decided, fuck the right wing. I'm going to fight against these people because she had these bad experiences with them. She noticed that, some of them really, really are racist, which is true. There are some really, really fucking hardcore racist, crazy people, or they at least are pretty good at acting like they are with their sock puppet accounts. And so she decided that she wanted to fight against them, and conveniently right around that same time she became friends with ContraPoints, and then conveniently she got sponsored. I think that that's probably the most, something like that would be the most simple explanation, and it's not like some nefarious thing. I can easily see something like that happening.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to add, like, the point you made about her maybe experiencing this kind of like alt-right part of the MRA and the MRM. God, I can't believe I just made that mistake. That fucking classic mix-up. Ugh. And we mock everyone for calling. Anyway, the point is, right? Okay, so the point is, she kind of encountered these like more. There is like a weird overlap between the manosphere and the alt-right and everything, and it's weird. Like it's a weird kind of thing that happened, and I think a lot of it has to do with the venue that all these things are happening on. Mm-hmm. Because it's all kind of happening here, you kind of get things that link into each other, and then like you have these spaces that obviously overlap. But like what this reminds me of is I have a Facebook friend, his name is Prentice. He's a black man who like talks a lot about men's rights issues, and like he'll repost articles like really consistently, like every single fucking day. It's like a new article, and he'll like add like super long write-ups that not super long, like a few paragraphs, but like for Facebook or whatever, it's like a consistent amount of things.
You should recommend him to be my recommend.
Yeah, I'll totally recommend him, but like I mean, he might because me and him have like a weird relationship because I totally fucking love him, but he thinks I'm like a fucking crazy person. This happens to me a lot. I don't know why. It's obviously not my fault. But the point is, like, because they're on the left side of the political spectrum, and like I'm fundamentally like anarcho-capitalism is my most fundamental thing because it's the first set of questions. So because of that, there's this diametric kind of opposition that's just like implicit. But we see eye to eye in all the men's rights issues, and that's one of the things that really inspired me about the men's rights movement. Is that when I went to the International Conference for Men's Issues that AVFM hosted in 2014. Like I found that we were talking to all these people, but like it wasn't just like me and other ANCAPs or libertarians or whatever talking about it, or like Ron Paul people in 2008. It was like, here's a liberal, here's a conservative, here's like anything you could. It was like a total tapestry, and that sounds like a cartoon, but like that was literally what it was like. Yet when we look at men's issues, we all saw the same thing. And what does that tell you? But that like this is fucking true. It transcends your fucking ideology, right?
Yeah,
and, like,
it becomes a pragmatic reality.
Fucking things. But the point is, he points out like a lot of the MRM lost its drive and like lost its thing because they just fucking like fucked off to the alt-right and fucked off to this identitarian politics and like don't pay attention to men's issues and are now talking about like white issues and things. And like it kills me, like this idea that like those things would be like in opposition some way, fundamentally, I think that men's issues, they're so disregarded that like it really does amount to probably the greatest scandal in human rights since slavery, since like widespread Western slavery in the Atlantic and Islamic slave trades. So I don't think that's an understatement. But the point is that he kind of perceived the same thing. And I think that a lot of it has to do with the overall kind of internet venue and its centralization just basically on YouTube. Hopefully when we have more alternatives like BitChute and Minds and things kind of closing those voids out a little bit, it might destabilize that element and kind of, I don't know, whatever the hell. Draw your own conclusions. Thank you for indulging me.
No, Bacon, I don't like this article. Let's move to the next article.
Okay. Let's see where we're at.
I first of all, I don't care about that stupid Netflix show.
Yeah.
Second of all, I don't care about bisexual people. I'm really sorry.
It's all right. Like the only thing I really want to say
is this the Alex Strangelove one? I just
Yeah.
watched the movie today. I have so many things to say.
Okay,
I don't even know what the show this is about. So
It's a Netflix show.
oh,
You
that
guys
would
don't-
well,
I
see,
just talked
I
a whole
don't do
lot, so I'll let you guys go.
Do you want to just jizz all over its face pan, like do a pump and dump?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. All right. So this movie, it's in that genre of like awkward high school movies, right? So like if that's not your kind of movie, this is not your kind of movie. You know, this is the genre that Freaks and Geeks and Mean Girls did impeccably. You know, and
Freaks
this
and
is
Geeks
not.
is so good.
It's so good. It's perfect. It's literally fucking. Everybody should watch it instead of having high school. Everybody should just watch Freaks and Geeks and just call it a day.
Yeah,
And quit.
if somebody paid, like if somebody said, Prince of Queens, you have won in the game of YouTube. You are the best YouTube writer that exists. And we want to hire you to write a season of a show, but you have to pick a show that was canceled and write. I would pick to write the second season of Freaks and Geeks because it was canceled after the first season. It was so good.
It was right, and like the thing about, and like I love
like
this
what made it
genre.
good? What made it good? Like what was it?
Okay, it was simultaneously it was like 85% realism. Like it seemed like this is completely believable for it was set in 1980. So it was kind of a period piece, like right after Reagan had gotten elected and like the 70s were dying out, but there was still like 70s culture. Like one of the things that happens within the first couple of episodes is that the drummer from Led Zeppelin dies, which is a big deal to one of the stoner guys because he idolized him. And but then there's the geeks that are into like really, really into like Star Wars, and they like also like Doctor Who, and they go to sci-fi fantasy conventions right when those were like starting to become a thing. And so there's this like massive element of reality that's in this show. But then there's the like 15% of just comedy where it's exaggerated, like these funny things happen that would not actually happen in real life. So it becomes like this heightened comedy. But they blend the two perfectly. And the thing is about it is that the plot is centered around these two brother and sisters. Not two, but this brother and a sister. And the brother is a 9th grader, and the sister is maybe a junior.
Mm-hmm.
And the 9th grade brother is like the littlest kid in school. Like he looks like he hasn't even begun puberty, even though he's actually in the 9th grade. And his and he's a geek. He's really into like Star Wars and Monty Python and old what was it? What's that comedian that was on Saturday Night Live with the white hair, Steve Martin.
Steve Martin.
Yeah,
Steve Martin.
Yeah, he on one of the episodes he takes his date to go see The Jerk in the theaters, and he thinks that's the best thing ever. So he's considered a geek, right?
Yeah.
And then his older sister, she's a freak. She starts hanging out with the rocker stoner kids and stuff. And there's a completely divergent reality amongst him and his friends who are really just these two guys. Like they have like one or two other friends that they kind of hang out with sometime. Like they start halfway through the season, they start hanging out with this one fat kid who smells. And then the girl hangs out with like the stoner kids and like there's like the hot dude who's played by James Franco and she kind of wants to fuck him, but then it turns out that he's just kind of using her to help him with his math homework, and she ends up dating this stoner guy, and then she randomly becomes friends with James Franco's girlfriend, who's a fucking psychopath but is actually kind of really cool. And you get, it's such a contrast, and it's something that I can relate to. Like when I was really little, I was a geek, and then when I got into later high school, I became one of the freaks, and it had, you know, nothing to do with the popular kids. Like the Mean Girls are about the popular kids, but what Freaks and Geeks shows is that there is different little social universes in high school. And so like in terms of the freaks, you know, like they are their own version of popular kids. They're not the cheerleaders or the jocks, but they certainly think that they're cool, and they have their own little pecking order, and they have their own, you know, stuff going on. And then it's also funny at the same time. It's amazing. Watch it on Netflix. It's so good.
Okay. I'll
Yeah,
check
that's
it
a
out.
fucking ringing endorsement if ever there was one.
Right?
You wanna chime in?
Well, I want to have like one. I want to, you know, blow my load on this hate fuck of a article. I guess blog post, because this doesn't deserve the word article. It's not long enough in my
Because
mind.
like I know Mean Girls, the show Mean Girls, the movie, is extraordinarily popular amongst gay men for some fucking reason.
Because gay men love Heathers, and it fucking ripped off Heathers.
Like it's extraordinarily
Yeah, that's a
popular.
good point. But like, so like with this movie, I watched it earlier today. I watched the entire thing through and through, so I can tell you all about it. I'll tell you, it's for the genre, it's actually not a bad movie. One movie you might want to compare it to is also on Netflix. You have Fuck the Prom, and Fuck the Prom is a great example of like doing the genre kind of badly. I still enjoyed both movies, so I have really low fucking standards. So there's your grain of salt. So I'm really charitable when it comes to like I'm gonna sit down and watch charitable. I'll take what I need to out of it. I can be really creative in taking what I need out of a thing. But with this one, what's really interesting about it is like there's actually a few things. So one thing that it depicts really, really well is like if you're a closeted gay with a girlfriend, it's a disaster for both parties. And like this movie does a really good job building a consistent and really likable, really lovable character in his girlfriend. Like him and his girlfriend, they kind of like date in high school, but you can tell it's this like kind of platonic thing, and they're into these like projects together where they report about like school issues in the newspaper, and it grew out of like a classroom project, right? So they build this whole thing where like him and this girlfriend have been dating for like 3 years through all of high school. They're like, he's the class president. They have this like show together where they do this like campy thing where they're both like safari people, and they compare shit that happens in nature to stuff that happens in high school. It's so cheesy. It's like the perfect cheeseball concept for a YouTube channel to put into a show like this. And that's another really, really cool aspect of this show is like cool or terrifying, depending on your perspective, which is that like all of these students are like involved in social media. So like the idea that they'll just like make a vlog about them bitching about like why they're breaking up with their boyfriend, like that's just like considered like a normal thing that someone just like fucking upload just to cause a bunch of fucking drama or whatever. And like and all these things, like you have example of like this kid's Alex, his like best friend is when he's 11, he sent pictures of himself flexing to the prettiest girl who she's the Heather of this movie. This like probably one of the most beautiful Asian girls I've ever seen. Like look this girl up. She's like fucking perfect looking, and like the way she acts is like perfectly just fucking calculated and waspy as shit, but like at the same time self-aware, such that when she has her redeeming arc at the end of the movie, it's actually believable. So there's all of that happening, but like him as an 11-year-old son's like flexing pictures to her, and then she's, you know, obviously an 11-year-old girl, and like sends it around the school and like causes all this stuff, you know, and like and it's this whole kind of thing of she's inconsiderate. And eventually when he's able to confront her so many years later and say like, hey, what you do is inconsiderate to me, you need to treat me like a fucking person, and she was like, oh wow, I finally see you have a fucking nutsack now. Imagine that when you fucking stand up to win for the first fucking time instead of being a fucking cucked ass little bitch, they fucking like actually want to jump on your dick. It's almost like no one's ever noticed that before. Oh my god. But anyway, that's not the point. What's interesting is despite this whole like social media weird underlying reality, unlike what Prince described with Freaks and Geeks, where like there's these multiple kind of colonies of conflicting realities within high school, and one super interesting aspect of that was like it gets flipped in unexpected ways, like when the geeks are like kind of befriend the bully because of what they're able to pull off, and like it's my favorite shit ever.
Well,
But
it turned out that they used to be friends with the bully, I think, in like elementary school or something, and then they, for whatever reason, when they got to like junior high school, he started picking on them, but it was really because he felt rejected by them in their little clique, and he got bigger than them.
honestly, I'm like creeped out by how well you can just like recall the plots of Freaks and Geeks just like at the fucking drop of a hat, like.
I've watched the whole season like two or three times. Like I love it.
It's so good. It's so good. Anyway, but with Alex Strangelove, you're not gonna get that. You get like one kind of static high school, and this high school has like parties that they say people in undergraduate college have, but they don't. Right? These like lavish rich people house parties that are supposed to be like a main staple, and like there's like high schoolers having these kinds of things, and it's really really entrenched in a lot of these awkwardness scenes and everything. But like one thing about it is like the way it's depicted, you'd think that like with this article, I can totally see how people would like have like wanted to come at it being like, oh, is he gonna end up being bisexual? If you actually watch the movie, when you're actually watching it, you can tell very early on, like within a third of the movie, you can tell, oh, he is gay. He's full-blown 100% gay. Like, and his gay interest isn't really a guy who he has like a multiple year kind of interesting drawn out relationship with. It's a guy who he sees, I think, at 3, maybe 4 separate points in the movie, including a scene just like he's at a pharmacy picking out condoms to fuck his girlfriend for the first time. He's super nervous about it for a reason that's obviously not that he's gay. He doesn't know what the fuck he's gonna do. Right? He's like picking up the condoms, and of course his like guy that he has these weird feelings for shows up, and they're like talking about condoms now, right? So that throw away that's a half a scene. There's literally like 3.5 scenes where he actually interacts with this male counterpart to the love interest, who within the first, literally, me and Miss Fetus, we measured this. Like it showed the title fray, Alex Strangelove, and we were like, whoa, like I feel like a lot of time passed. We were both super fucking sleep deprived though, so like take that with a grain of salt. But anyway, we were just like, whoa, that took a fucking long ass time to get to the fucking title screen. We paused it to check, and that was like 8 minutes in or whatever the hell, which like we thought it had been way longer. But within less than 10 minutes, they set up this whole like 3-year long ass relationship with the girl, which is supposed to be juxtaposed with this like relationship with the guy who he has like literally maybe a few interactions with throughout the whole movie. So you can tell it's like a thing about a gay guy. And anyway, there's a million things I can comment on, but like,
yeah, I haven't even seen it. Can we move on?
Let me have my orgasm from the hate fuck.
This article is really bad and deserves to get shot on.
Okay.
So you know what I need to do? I need to get with Space Pan and be like, okay, what shows do I need to see? So this way, when you guys are making reference to these movies, I can be like, oh, okay, I understand what you're talking about. Because like right now, I'm just like, yeah, I have no idea what any of this shit is about.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat too.
I'm sorry. It's just, I saw you like link it to me, and then I was like, fuck it, I don't have anything to do today, and I can't fall asleep. I'm gonna watch this thing because I considered it at one point, and then I was like, this is a movie, not a series, and I was like, fuck, I'm gonna watch the whole thing, and it ended up being better than I thought it was gonna be. It delivers on what you want to deliver on, and like, there's a lot of interesting to say about the genre with it. But anyway, this article is so terrible. Bacon, explain it to us.
Okay, can I blow my hate load on this article first before we move on?
Sure.
Anyways, my whole thing about they're erasing bisexual people. I'm sorry, but bisexuality is kind of an experimental phase for a lot of people, and queer activists, they just got to learn to live with it. I mean, I read this thing in one of my videos like a couple months ago, and it was like 90% of bisexual people end up going, or at least bisexual men end up in straight relationships, and only about 10% end up in gay relationships. Like, live within that reality, people. That's reality.
I mean, like,
wait. I wanted to say real quick. I can say this.
I'm a bisexual, right? Because, but generally, I date men. But like, if I run into the right woman, I'll date a woman. But it has to be a very specific kind of woman. Like, I like a lot of women that are not traditionally pretty. Let me put it that way. And what I mean by that is, like, I like rail skinny girls. Like, I can't explain why. And I think it's because their bodies are more resembling that of men. I don't really understand the psychology behind it. And, like, it even gets weirder because, like, with guys, I tend to find men that have a little bit of weight on them more attractive than, like, built or even skinny guys, right? Like, especially skinny guys, ick. But with women, like, if they're overweight or voluptuous, like, I generally don't find them attractive. Like, I'll say they're pretty, but saying somebody's pretty or beautiful is different than finding them attractive.
Yeah. So I just want to say about the whole bisexuality topic. People say bi people are being erased. Okay. If it's a choice between having the opportunity to be erased and be constantly demonized from both the left and the right, and then also forgotten about when you start having health concerns and meth problems and everything, feel really lucky that you can be erased.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with that. I mean, how do I put this bluntly? I will let people just say that I'm gay and just never correct them because it's easier, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like I have the choice to have my life be easier, or have to have that this long conversation explaining why I'm different and I'm not exactly a gay guy. It's like it's just easier to just go on with life. It's not worth dwelling on.
Yeah, and with me, it's so strange because when I tell people that I mostly date men, they're like, "So are you gay or straight?" I'm like, you know what? Just call it whatever you want to call it. I don't give a shit. So, I don't know.
Let's
go ahead.
Well, no, you can talk about. You're the guest. You should talk about your bisexuality.
Well, no, I mean, it's like I'm not trying to command the conversation with bisexuality, but I mean, it's and I think that's a lot of the reason. Like, I just call myself a bisexual, so I can avoid the conversation of if I'm straight or if I'm gay, right? Because I don't know, it's a really awkward conversation to have, and and it's not something I'm really comfortable saying one way or the other. Like, because if you say that that I'm gay because I date a man or whatever, or if you say I'm a woman, or if you say that I'm straight because I'm dating a man, I really don't thinking of it in that term. Like, it just doesn't jive with me very well, because I mean, at the end of the day, I'm male. I don't have a problem with that. But if I go hook up with a woman, a lot of people are going to be looking at that woman asking some fucking questions in their head.
Can I ask you, have you or would you ever hook up with another trans person?
Probably not.
Okay, so you're not pansexual.
No, and the reason I say probably not, like, maybe on like a hookup, like we're going to just fool around a little bit, fine, maybe. But as far as like a relationship, no, that's out the door, because I don't want to deal with somebody that has the same exact problems I fucking have.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that is and I have my own like psychological and emotional baggage that I don't bring out into the public life, but I have it. And the last thing I want to deal with is somebody else that has the same psychological and emotional baggage.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's kind of my point of view on that.
Yeah. No, that makes absolute absolute sense to me. But it's not so much like a sexual thing. It's just a like, okay, I already know what can of worms I'm getting into, and I'm just not going to open that can of worms.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's move on though. Can we?
Okay. Now this last one isn't really an article. It's just stupid feminist comics saying, "Oh, this is what it would be like if we regulated you men like you regulate us."
Oh, for fuck's sake! Oh, you mean if they all? Wait. This is what it would be like if feminists did they also did the things that maybe some men sometimes maybe might have done last century to women. If they also did the things that those men did to women in addition to all the stuff that they absolutely definitely do to us now. So if they added insult to injury, which is the way that feminists already regulate us, let's see how much worse it could possibly
Stop
be.
for a second. There's something in this side article that has caught my eye. The Fuck Trump lipstick will donate 100% of its profits to charities that. Scroll down a little bit. I'm just curious. Where to go? Oh, that rejoin migrant families. What a first world approach that we have to that problem, don't we?
There's so many fucking
Hey,
places.
I'm gonna buy some lipstick, and that's gonna be me helping migrant families. What a bunch of virtue signaling bullshit.
There's a lot of places making money off of the crying baby girl that wasn't actually separated from her fucking mother. There's a lot of places doing that.
Well, this is femme positive. My I guess fifth ring of dumpster fire or whatever it is we're going with calling this bullshit.
Is this the new place that the everyday feminism budget is going into or something like?
Oh, this is the good part. This is actually stupider than everyday feminism. Like, I've actually cited their articles before just because they are stupid and they're funny. I mean, literally, this entire article or blog post is literally all just pictures. Like, I think there's like maybe one solid paragraph of actual writing in this. I mean, as I'm scrolling through it, this entire bullshit.
Wait. Okay, I want to see some of it.
No, I mean, I'll scroll through it, but this literally what I highlighted is the only writing that's on this.
Okay, so this comic will change your entire perspective because it's totally accurate, because it like totally represents the type of stuff that men like totally say to women all the time. So it's agreed. Life begins at emission. Male masturbation is officially banned. Wait, that would be the equivalent of saying periods are banned. Mm-hmm. Literally nobody's ever said that ever once. Yeah. Except in cases of sperm donation, of course. So that would be the equivalent of saying, well, it's still allowed to donate your eggs. Okay, well, whatever. So that is a nonsense one that just doesn't apply to anything anybody's ever said. Rally for men. I care about men. I have a husband and son. My father was a man. I've talked to the men in my life about my plan, and you know what? They agree with me. What does that even mean? What is that? I don't understand. Is there something I'm missing? Like, because I feel like that's what she looks like Hillary Clinton, first of all, and this is not an alternate reality right there. That sounds like the beginning of a feminist speech. That sounds like a feminist who's about to talk about how men are actually really, really problematic, and so they had to give a little disclaimer at the beginning, and that's what it is. Like, you hear feminists say that stuff all the time. I care about men. I have a husband and son. My father was a man. I've talked to the men in my life about my plan, and you know what? They agree with me. But within every man holds toxic masculinity and the potential for patriarchal violence. And that's why I'm here today as Kirsten Gillibrand to let you all know that, right?
Why has he stepped down from office? Like, I'm so fucking pissed at the American public that like there hasn't been a larger. It's literally me and like 6 other people who are like, fuck Kirsten Gillibrand. She fucking honored Emma Solkowitz. And everyone's like, who? And I'm like, mattress girl. And like, isn't she a good thing? And I'm like, kill yourself. I hate you. And then I have to like calm down. I realize I'm really intense. That's one thing I learned at my Red Pill event. Like, I have a really intense personality in person.
But here's the deal with like these.
It's not just in person, buddy.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah.
Anyways, I was gonna say about these fucking comics, it's like the feminists are like, oh, but we would never do this like the religious rights. Like, get Anita Sarkeesian and the sex negative feminists in here, and they would do all this shit in a heartbeat without even thinking once about it. Like, all this bullshit they're trying to like parody here, I guess. It's like, fucking sex negative feminists, have you ever heard of them? I mean, seriously, the people who are like, no, we'll never have a fucking orgasm because that means we're like patriarchy or something.
Well, here's the thing. Here's what's so twisted about this particular panel. Like, Prince, you're 100% correct. The way you depicted it is exactly how it goes. You look at this and you're like, yeah, like this is the beginning of the speech, and then you go into a bunch of shit about fucking toxic masculinity. Then you probably go into how like men can do more things to help women, right? And like to a feminist, that's what they gender flip a rally for women into, is that. And they think that they're doing the reverse of what men do for women when they do that. And like, can we please just stop and think about how fucked up that is? That's so fucking backwards. Like, that they interpret their abuse of men as the reciprocal to men bending over backwards to deal with the care and concern for women that they enjoy. Because the rally for women starts out the same way, and you sure as fucking shit know that it's not going to go into a whole thing about how toxic femininity is leading to a fucking collapse of our economy because women don't fucking pay their share in aggregate of the fucking taxation, if you like put it in those levels, and that single motherhood is like a huge economic strain and like a huge issue with the welfare and everything. It's like so fucking obvious in our plain fucking sight, right? They wouldn't be going into that shit. They'd be going to like, I care about women. I have a wife and a daughter and blah, 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 blah. And that's why I'm going to support policies to make sure that my daughter has every single advantage, even though she's statistically more likely to do better than her male counterparts in every single fucking way at every single fucking level. It's just, I'm sorry, that's my rant. It's just like, if you imagine like this, how it continues, it's so fucked up. It's so fucked up. And that's why I'm an anti-feminist, because there's no other way to be pro-human than to be anti-feminist. If you're not anti-feminist, I don't see you as pro-human. How could I? How could I possibly?
Well, I mean, seriously, and it's also like they're bitching about all the pandering to them. It's like, oh, you're just pandering too hard. It's like, you wanted this. You wanted the pandering. You got the pandering, and now it's not good enough for you. Get fucked.
It looks like Kristen Gillibrand too.
I thought it was Hillary Clinton. Never mind.
Well, it could be either. They're basically the same. She's just a younger Hillary Clinton.
I don't even know who she is, but she sounds like a bitch.
She's the one who gave Mattress Girl a national platform, and continued to point to Emma Sokowitz as a spokesperson for the college rape epidemic after Kathy Young had, published the story that said that, wait, maybe this is untrue.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Well, I know all of this. It's just that I can't picture her. It's like literally, she's like so irrelevant to my life that I can't even like picture her.
Yeah, I've shown pictures of her in my videos before. This cartoon looks a little bit more like Hillary than her, but it could be her too.
Oh, she's just so generic. I can't even imagine. I just literally I Googled her. Yeah, she's just too generic for me to fully remember.
But like, it might as well fucking be her, right? Like, this might as well be the start of a Kristen Gillibrand speech for it's like, this is not an alternate reality. Like, what are you talking about? So let's go on to the next panel.
Okay.
You need to read this before we can perform your vasectomy. After that, we're going to show you a bunch of testicles being operated on. So what? Like that wouldn't really be that big of a deal. Like, okay. I mean, have you considered ejaculating into an ovulating female? Like, what? They're acting like men would start crying if these things men have so many worse things to actually deal with than these fucking first world fucking female problems. It's like, oh god, the horrors of what men would have to deal with if these like, oh my god, what's the next one going to be? Someone woman-splains to the dude? Like, oh no, like, men have to deal with that shit all the time.
If you want to prove the women's movement is worthless, just let them talk about women's issues.
While I'm on the abortion front, and I'm going to go like total, at least my family standard of Catholic on this. How is like reading a pamphlet about why abortion isn't good for you and why you should have your kid be put up for adoption? How is that a horrible thing and so anti-choice? I mean, seriously, how is having all the information before making a decision a bad thing? I mean, seriously, are they just pushing ignorance? And
yeah, no, I have a friend who, like, this girl who's a really, really nice girl. She is like, she's one of those girls that lived in San Francisco and almost exclusively hung out with gay men, except for it was because she was like actually cool and not a feminist or anything. She just, for whatever reason, didn't really get along with the straight guys in San Francisco, which I can kind of understand. The straight guys in San Francisco are just really weird. Like, they're just very strange people. And
I actually already feel sorry for her because her dating pool is just filled with beta cucks.
yeah, largely.
There's not a manly straight guy in fucking San Francisco. It doesn't fucking exist.
Yeah, and the thing is about the the alpha straight men in San Francisco get really, really demonized by literally everybody around them. Like, nobody likes an alpha man in San Francisco. And so then there's these like weird, it's like the betas all fight over who gets to pretend to be the alpha, and those guys are fucking weirdos. And it turns out that they're like kind of like rapey monsters because, you know, they're fucking like betas that have appointed themselves alphas, except for they're not alphas, and they don't know how to behave like a leader because they're not. And so yeah, those are the creepy guys that, you know, they end up hooking up with girls and, you know, want to fuck without condoms and shit. And I guess my friend got pregnant. And the thing is, she didn't even know she was pregnant. It did not even occur to her that maybe she was pregnant. And then she went and like she figured out that she was pregnant somehow and was like, oh my god, I don't know what I could do. Well, so she went down to the abortion clinic. And this is in, you know, I don't know if it was in San Francisco or if it was like outside of San Francisco, but it's in, you know, the San Francisco Bay Area, Northern California region, where it's not at all hard to get abortions. And she goes in to be like, hey, I want to, you know, maybe get this terminated because I don't think I'm at all ready to be a mother. And I didn't know I was pregnant. And they said, oh, well, you are just about to end your first trimester. You're like right on the cusp. Like, you've been pregnant for like 3 months. And she's like, for real? Are you fucking serious? And they're like, yeah, you're really, really pregnant. So you need to get an abortion as soon as possible if you're going to do it. So preferably today. And she's like, okay. And they're like, sign here. We're going to put you under. And she's like, okay. So, you know, eyes roll to the back of her head, and she wakes up and she's like, she said that as soon as she woke up, she's never felt more awful in her life. She could feel the way she wrote a really long Facebook status update about it, about how she could feel the life having been ripped from her body. And she was like suicidal for the next, you know, 2 weeks or so. Like, every day she woke up just feeling like horrifically bad about it. And she didn't even know how to describe the feeling. And then until finally she ended up reading some literature about whatever you would call it, the depression that happens as a result of an abortion, and how it has to do with all sorts of things like hormones and you know, I don't know, like all of the different factors that lead you to having a severe depression if you miscarry or get an abortion. Well, those things happened to her. But the thing is that due to the fact that she lives in far leftist California, nobody ever gave her the slightest bit of warning about what it would actually be like to get an abortion and how hard it would be on her. And she felt deeply, deeply angry that she was so unprepared for this.
That's also another thing I want to like bitch about the whole abortion topic. How they're like, oh, you can't get an ultrasound before you get an abortion. It's like, how do they even determine if it's legal if you can't even figure out how far along you are? That's just also the thing that I brain farted on midway through ranting last time.
Well, the other thing too is like what this is all based in is reproductive rights, right? And the easiest way to do it, and what the reason they haven't done this way is because they're a bunch of fucking sophists. And what they're doing is they're taking condoms and making that a strictly male issue and a strictly male concern. No, if I'm a woman and I know that my kind of sex involves like finding a man who's willing to like use his dick on me, right? And like, let's say my ideal form of sex involves like not getting pregnant and like it being safe or whatever. That means that if the two parties show up and there's no condom, that's not the man's fault. That's both of their fault. Because either party could carry with them a male condom or a female condom, right? So it's not even an issue of like males should be expected to have male condoms and females should be expected to have female condoms. No, fuck that. Because let's say you're a woman and you want to get your fucking you want to get your shit on, right? You wouldn't carry with you a female condom to have the kind of sex you want to have. Like you'd carry male condoms in case the fucking idiot who you find doesn't have a condom. You just want to like eliminate that from your checklist of like, okay, I want to make sure that he's like not disgusting and like seems kind of nice and not gonna rape me and has a condom. You can cross has a condom off your list and have all of the other things just in case that happens to be what's going on, right? I guess I'm speaking strictly in hookup culture. But my point is that the reason of this thought experiment isn't to suggest that that's like the best way to go about things or whatever the fuck. The reason is that this idea that the male condom burden relies on males doesn't make any fucking sense. It doesn't make any fucking sense at all. If you're a woman, like you have just as much power to carry around a condom as a man does. And this is the point. All of the male reproductive choices women have. Women have every single one of men's rights in regards to reproductive choice. Yeah. Men have zero rights in regards to the abortion question. Now, if we're going to be consistent and say, okay, like men don't get to mandate abortions against women, fine. The vast majority of all people are very willing to accept that. Legal paternal surrender. Yeah. If you advocate pro-choice and you do not also equally advocate for legal paternal surrender for men, which is an issue that is niche, not heard of at all, meaning that if you're pro-choice, legal paternal surrender should be your number one issue, just categorically. If you're not number one, 1,000% behind legal paternal surrender, don't you fucking breathe a fucking word about your pro-choice bullshit at me.
Yeah, because it's really what they're saying there is that they want women to be able to terminate pregnancy at any time, but men to be trapped into fatherhood at any time. And then the long story short, it does come back around to basically men being financial, economic providers for women. As soon as you get her pregnant, he will have to work for you. And that's what it is. And that's what they want.
18 years of slavery.
The reason that the feminists fight the educated consumer angle of abortion is because that's their golden goose. If women are educated as to exactly what the fuck is going on, I'm willing to bet most women would reconsider their choice for abortion. I really do. Because the conversation is constantly obfuscated just by blatant misinformation. Like, they'll say, oh, it's only a zygote. Okay. And they say this to uneducated people because, well, I'm sorry, the vast majority of people are uneducated twats when it comes about human reproduction. And a zygote is a stage of pregnancy that lasts about 3 days. Sometimes it's a little bit longer, it could go up to 7 days, sometimes a little sooner, like a day and a half, right? So it just depends on how quickly the fetus develops. And they'll say, well, it's only a zygote. Well, the odds of a woman knowing she's pregnant within the first 7 days is fucking virtually zero. And then they'll say, well, and then like someone will go, well, we want to limit it to the first try, or, most abortions are first trimester. And that also ends up being bullshit. The first trimester is about 12 weeks long. Give or take, because every pregnancy is different. And the early stages of pregnancy actually mimic menstrual problems pretty fucking well, right? So, like a woman that's in the early stages of pregnancy may experience bleeding, may experience cramps, right? All the things that are associated with just a normal menstrual cycle. So the odds of a woman even knowing she's pregnant in the first trimester is virtually zero. Much less running off to an abortion clinic to go have an abortion. And this is and their talking points, and this is one of my major criticisms of Lacey Green, is their talking points are predicated on the fact that somebody doesn't understand the human reproductive process and how you go from sperm and egg to baby. And they bank on that. So when they go, what the reason they fight about this is like, you know, if you're 24 weeks into your pregnancy and you have an abortion, this fetus has a heartbeat. It has neural synapses, like there's things going on in the brain. The brain is developed. The nervous system is developed. Excuse me. Bones are starting to be developed. Cartilage is developed. Skin is developed. The list goes on and on. So it goes from, it quickly goes from being a quote unquote lump of cells to a bona fide person by the time you're 12, 13, 14, 15 weeks in to this pregnancy. And this is why these feminists fight this so hard, because if these women figure out that they're actually, you know, what they're actually doing, they're going to be like, wait a minute, this is a little fucked up. Because women, for better or for worse, especially in the modern technical age, have this instinct in their heads about motherhood. I mean, not all women, because, you know, there are lesbian feminists in the world. And
all lesbians want the cock.
And so, but if women are starting to get, like, if they get educated about what they're doing, not only will they not get that abortion, which threatens the money that goes into the abortion industry, these women might become pro-life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a very good point. And by the way, I'm joking when I say all lesbians love the cock, though that was told to me by the lesbian that I knew in my life who was a roommate who was the most famous, actually signed on a lesbian record label, who knew more lesbians than any other person that I've ever probably met in my life. And she told me in a moment of complete honesty, because she was like venting about her ex-girlfriend or something, and she was like, just so you know, no matter what a lesbian tells you, all lesbians want the cock. And I've always taken that somewhat seriously, but I also, you know, obviously shouldn't base too much on that. But yeah, your point is good though.
Yeah. And Hitler had a black friend who was totally woke on everything, blah blah blah.
And see, this is what they don't want. They don't want women, these feminists that run the abortion industry, the abortion industrial complex. When they don't want educated women, because when women get educated, they start working against their little pet project of the abortion industrial complex. And it is an industrial complex, right? There's several organizations. There's medical equipment that's specific to abortions. There's insurance plans that go into it. It is an industry. And
yeah,
the minute that these women become educated, and, you know, if they become pro-life, that is a larger threat to abortion. Educated women are a larger threat to abortion than the most screeching Republican in office.
Uh-huh. So
that's actually a really interesting point. Sorry, can I comment on something on the previous panel real quick here?
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay, so here's the thing. When I first looked at it, I thought, that's like the first fucking funny ass joke in this whole thing. The shit on that clipboard, right, where it's like alternatives, like ejaculate into a female, right? It's like that's kind of the first part where it kind of like has this like absurd kind of a slap. But then when you actually deconstruct it, because here's the thing, I do consider myself to be an MRA, and that means that I white knight for the bronies, I white knight for the incels, you know, I white knight for them. And for a woman, I'm presuming a woman wrote this. I don't know, I could be wrong. But anyway.
Oh yeah, it's a woman who wrote this.
Okay, so yeah, for a woman to write this, like,
I'm saying I presume too.
Fuck her. fuck her. Like the idea that she doles out from this female doctor to this male victim subject. Have you considered ejaculating into an ovulating female instead of using the hand that you own to stroke the penis that you own until you drop some milk into a tissue that you own, into a trash can that you own, and like
such beyond a
fucking constant libertarian argument, nothing fucking happened. Why is it your fucking business? No, because you're ejaculating. Like, that's such a fucking entitled ass bullshit position.
Yeah.
From, because women, you know, if you want sex, you can get it. You can get it. You'll find someone. You'll find someone.
Yeah, and also if you get
women aren't incels.
if you happen to get knocked up, like the pamphlet that she is handing this guy happens after you already had the sex. It's not.
No. I interpret this differently. This is him. I think this one is him trying to
Yeah,
like,
no. I know what this is, dude. This is.
There's a point where he's trying to get a prescription for condoms, right?
But here I'm trying to mention the equivalence that they're trying to make here. They are trying to talk about. They're trying to equivocate female birth control to you know, for like the notion that they're trying to say that birth control is basically the same as abortion. So like this scroll back up to the top of the comic so I can see it, because it took me a while to even understand the point of what they're trying to actually say, because it's so bizarre, you know, like it just doesn't.
Yeah, it's not well executed. It's not a.
It's perfectly poorly executed.
Okay, I don't want to be like a total asshole, because like it's if you kind of look at it long, you can kind of start to see where they're coming from. It's just, but it's not totally obvious what they're going for.
Yeah, but what they're trying to do is they're trying to draw the equivalence between male birth control, which would be, you know, condoms, it would be in this case a vasectomy, and saying that that is the same thing as a woman having an abortion. And that, you know, because of the fact that
and not her getting her tubes tied.
I'm not.
No, this is an abortion thing, because
because they don't.
There's laws. There's laws that they were trying to pass, and I think it was in Texas.
Yeah.
That basically stated that women, like they weren't trying to limit abortion, but they were trying to that basically the woman had to have an ultrasound to show so they could see what it is that they were aborting.
Well, and I think that there's
and because if you show a woman an ultrasound that's, you know, 20 weeks pregnant, you're not going to see a clump of cells. Let me go ahead and just let you know. You're going to see little hands. You're going to see little feet. You're going to see little eyeballs. You're going to see, you know, the things that you associate a human being with. Mm-hmm. So that's why the feminists fought against it so hard. I think the law never actually went through in Texas. I'd have to double check it, but
yeah, well, okay, and this statement, what I think that there probably is in a lot of states, is that you can get a free abortion or a low-cost abortion, but you have to jump through a few hoops. And what they're describing in this comic is the few hoops that you have to jump through, which is that,
like drinking lots of alcohol, falling down a stairwell.
Okay, I don't know what you're talking about, but
no, that's a joke. I was just kidding.
So one of the things that you would have to do in order to get an abortion would be to read a pamphlet about, you know, why maybe you should keep the baby. And then they're also going to show you a bunch of pictures of aborted fetuses so that you know what you're getting into, right? So feminists are, so whoever wrote this comic was dumb enough to think that they could pretend to come up with a equivalent, like some sort of role reverse thing that would somehow show men just how, you know, lucky men have it, by drawing a completely irrelevant equivalence to a vasectomy, and it just falls completely flat because it has nothing in common with this with that. And so basically it's kind of like they had to come up with a solution or a situation of where a man is actually talking about getting his vasectomy, and he has to go like read this little pamphlet, which isn't a big deal at all. They're trying to act like maybe it would be a big deal, but what they should have shown a panel of in order to illustrate, like, what if there was some really, really bad thing for man involving birth control of some way. Well, what they would do would be when a guy impregnates a girl, saying, "Hey, just so you know, you better try to marry this woman, because even if you don't marry her, you're still going to have to pay all this child support. Here's an MRA handbook about all the crap that you're going to have to fucking go through." That would be a little bit more comparable to what the guy, because like we're dealing with a situation of what happens after a woman is impregnated. That's what they're imitating with this comment. So what they should do is, what does a guy have to deal with after he impregnates a female? Well, he should get a pamphlet about all of the crap that he has to deal with in family court, or that would be a better equivalence. But they're so dumb that they think that they could just draw this false equivalence, and it's embarrassing because it just falls flat. Like I don't know who on earth thinks that. Maybe some people would think that it's funny. Certainly not the comic artist. Certainly the comic artist did not even think that they were clever. Certainly they just had to actually fill some sort of quota because somebody paid them to make this comic, and this was the best they could come up with.
Also, one thing I do want to say about the content of this bullshit here is that the feminist standpoint on having a guy blow his load in you is not, they don't want women to have kids right now. That's like the whole feminist thing of never have kids, never reproduce. And I'm assuming the only women that say this are ones that can't get a guy to sling one up their clammy snatch, but that's just me. But still, it's like they're like, "Oh, have you considered having sex with a woman?" It's like, you don't want to have kids anyways. Why is feminism pushing this?
No.
Go ahead.
I think it was Naked Ape that nailed it on the fucking head, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I love Naked Ape so much. I really do. I wish he made more content. But anyway, he said something along the lines of, I'm paraphrasing, that political lesbianism it's all about gametes, basically. It's about telling women that men are awful, so this way they could run to the women will instead run to their fat lesbian arms, right? Mm-hmm. And feminism as a whole is about ugly and fat women collectively bargaining against pretty women, men, for sexual reproduction. That's basically what it is.
Yeah. They're saying, okay, we want the shit that the pretty girls have. Let's combine forces and lobby for it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's move down to the next panel. I want to get through with this. So, the FCC. Okay, I was looking. I don't even. This one is just. I don't even know what the fuck they're talking about. The FCC is planning to fine more than $500,000 over Crackgate. Bieber wardrobe malfunction stuns the nation. So allegedly, maybe it was because of the Beyonce or Janet Jackson boob showing on the Super Bowl or something. I think that might actually happen if a guy accidentally showed his dick, like his. Didn't that happen to Lenny Kravitz even? Like, wasn't that a big deal? Maybe
I remember Britney Spears flashed her badge at some point in the 90s. That's all I remember.
So this one, do you have condoms? No, but I can get some. I don't get it, and I don't think that there's any.
That's the next panel.
Here's your prescription.
Yeah, this is like a three-parter. This is this is yet another
completely so bafflingly moronic false equivalence. Do you have condoms? No, but I can get some. Here is your prescription. Because, of course, condoms are a pill that you take that drastically affects your hormones. Jesus fucking Christ. Are you, like, who wrote this? Are they 12?
They're not custom making you condoms. It's not like a medication where it's like, oh, we actually have to get the fucking dosage right. So, the thing actually works. It's like, no. God, they are so preying on ignorance and, like, people being just so full of themselves that they don't even care that they're stupid.
I remember when College Humor used to be edgy. Let's move down to the bottom. I think there's one more.
Here. And then this is him waiting at the pharmacy, him getting
Ben's
his
like-
shit. Yeah.
It
Oh,
says-
your insurance just fucked you. Everyone knows that.
Well, because condoms are actually cost the same as, you know, the fucking pills that you take every fucking month. Like, Jesus fucking, they're pieces of rubber. Fuck off. This is the dumbest thing ever.
More insurance fuckery.
Okay, let's keep going, keep going.
And then lady's asleep, and
Okay.
it took 2 whole weeks.
Okay. Okay. Keep going, keep going.
I think this might be the last one, hopefully. Yeah, it is the last one.
Okay, thank God. So I don't have anything else to say about that, and we're into the last half hour, and I want to talk about 2 things. I want to talk about detransitioning a little bit, if Melissa has anything to say about that, but also I just want to talk a little bit about Maxine Waters, because like I said that I wanted to before.
I am down to talk about detrans, but I mean, if you guys are okay with it, I want to take a smoke break. I've been here for what, 2 hours?
Okay, well, can I'm just gonna rant a little bit about Maxine Waters. Is that
Okay, I'll
cool?
let you rant about Maxine Waters, because like my opinion of her is this: she's a fucking moron. And Donald Trump nailed it right on the head when he said low IQ. What was it? Low IQ, Maxine.
Yeah, she is. No, she is a
Dude,
fucking.
that was the fucking funniest tweet ever.
I want to see. I
Donald
want to see
Trump's
it.
Twitter is the greatest fucking president ever.
Hold on. Let's screen share.
So I'm gonna let Prince rant, and then I'm gonna go smoke, and then I'll be more than happy
I'm
to
gonna
talk
pull
about
that up.
transition.
Maxine Waters tweet. So what did he? Oh my God! He put. Hold on 1 second. So this seems to be okay. Present me to everyone. That's not really the one. I don't think that's the one that he talks about her. Things will work out. Okay, I think he's probably talked. No, where's the one? Okay, I don't believe that he's actually making all these tweets where he makes her lips all extra big. Like, did he actually really do that? Is that real? Because I've never seen anyone talk about that. Hello?
Yeah, bro, I'm here. I'm having a little bit of trouble hearing because of there's a storm around me. When my microphone's not muted, you can kind of hear it.
Okay.
But I moved to the middle of it and I'm huddled, and the
Okay, where's the tweet that supposedly he said where he calls her stupid? Could you find it for us, Spacepan?
Wait, you want me to find the other source of stupid for Maxine Waters? That's kind of like that's kind of like a sandbox RPG.
No,
That's kind of like go slay any dragon you want. It's kind of like Skyrim.
Somebody said that there was a tweet of Donald Trump making fun of Maxine Waters for being stupid.
Oh yeah, give me 5 minutes.
Oh, so there's a whole bunch of them.
No, it's in a Discord, but I have like several Discords that I'm in because I'm kind of like an East celeb baby debutante with my Discord servers. Like I got the comments section, which I should link to. It has Ann Coulter as the avatar because that's how cool we are. But anyway, the point is that I have another one where at some point we like just linked a bunch of like based ass fucking Donald Trump tweets because he was just like on a fucking roll that day. Whatever day that was, it was a few days back. That's why I said 5 minutes.
Okay, so, but Maxine Waters is the, like, she is, what's the word? There has to be, she is the emblem, she's emblematic of everything that is wrong with the left. Like, she's coming out as like the shining star of insanity of the Democratic Party. They created, like, as soon as they started throwing meritocracy out of the window and started replacing it with glorifying identity politics and saying that, you know, black women are always right about everything because vagina and because oppression of black people. And then that started becoming a major, major part of the political sphere. Well, that was basically that was like parting the waters for Maxine Waters, parting the waters for this woman, Maxine Waters, to walk through the ocean or the sea and step right into the fucking Washington, you know, step right into the House. I believe she's a senator.
She's a congressional representative.
Oh, she's a congresswoman.
Yeah.
So they parted the sea. She walks right into Congress, and she is an absolute fucking monster, but in the most gloriously hilarious way. And the thing is, it's gotten to the point where like even the Democrats know, but they're not sure what to do about it because they were the ones that parted the sea for her to walk in, and she knows her little power. Like, okay, the thing about Maxine Waters is that nobody really knew who she was about a year ago. She was just sort of this like obscure person that people were thinking of as like, you know, token black woman that's on Congress from California. Like how many fucking members of the House are there from California? Like a lot. You know?
Yeah, like she just kind of fucking coast, right? Because like she had the fucking minority points, so you just like coast through.
But
I found the tweet by.
Oh, you're puttering out a little bit. But the thing is that she made headlines about a year, maybe a year and a half ago, when she did this little sassy black woman thing in Congress. Somebody tried to like get up and say something to her that annoyed her in some way, and instead of like professionally telling him that she didn't want to answer the question or talk about what he wanted to talk about or whatever, like she could have said, sir, we don't have time to talk about that. Please move on. Please, sir, we don't have time to talk about that. Sir, unless you have something else to talk about, I'm going to have to ask security to, you know, something like that. Like something professional. Instead, she turned into like a full-blown like Nicki Minaj, fucking Leslie Jones or some shit. And she said, sir, I do not want to answer that question. No, I'm not going to talk about that. No, I am reclaiming my time. No, I am reclaiming my time. I am reclaiming my time. I am reclaiming.
And I kind of don't want none unless you got.
No, so she just said, I'm reclaiming my time. I'm reclaiming my time. I'm reclaiming my time over and over and over. Like,
God, I want that remix. That sounds so
no, there
catchy.
is a remix. No, there is a remix of it. You go fucking go Google "reclaiming my time" remixes. Like, but the funny thing about it is that like when she did it at the time, a year or a year and a half ago or whenever it was, all sorts of like intersectionals were like just bending over backwards and applauding her, like, oh my God, she's so cool, she's so awesome. We have a sassy black woman in Congress who, you know, does sassy black women things, and she says, reclaiming my time, I am reclaiming my time. And it's like, okay, that wasn't actually cool. It was completely non-professional and embarrassing is what it actually was. And it's basically the fact that you are cheering her on is a total example of your own racism. It's the soft bigotry of low expectations. You're watching this woman make a total fool out of herself and look completely non-professional, and you're saying it's cool because she's black. It's the only fucking reason that you're cheering her on. But what happened was the internet, like the leftist internet, made memes out of that thing. And I think that what must have happened is that she got a big head, and you know, like the feminist press started talking to her a lot, and she started thinking that maybe she's this, like, you know, she's going to be the new Elizabeth Warren or something, like a new bitchier, more person of color Elizabeth Warren, who is like not even 1/10 as intelligent and is actually also kind of a crazy person. Like, this Maxine Waters is actually insane. And
You
so
mean Nadia is much a person of color as Elizabeth Warren?
she's even well. I said she's even more of a person of color than Wokahanas. And so, like, so the leftist media created a monster by giving this woman attention after the I'm reclaiming my time, and so then this summer, like, some shit happens and she decides that, she's, I guess apparently she's a little big for her britches, and she's thinking to herself, you know what, I'm gonna be the spokesperson for taking down the entire Trump administration. I'm gonna tell people that they need to confront people. They need to. She's basically like that. Do you guys remember that woman who was she was like a racial minority at some sort of Antifa rally, speaking on a loudspeaker, and she was a teacher, and it said, we need some reparations. We need white people to move out of their houses and give them to black people and people of color. And you need to put yourself on the line. If you see white racists, you need to run up on them. Blah, blah, blah. Well, Maxine Waters is essentially saying that. She's like, if that Sarah Huckabee Sanders was kicked out of the restaurant, and that is good. And I'm letting you know right now. I'm gonna let y'all know, if you ever see any of the Republican, the Trump administration in public, you need to rally up on them. You need to form a pack of angry fucking hyenas, and you need to start heckling. And you say, I don't care if you rip them limb. You can rip them limb from limb. You can fucking throw scalding water on them, and I will come and I will cheer you on. I will reclaim my time. I will reclaim my time on them, and you can do it, and it will be awesome. And like at this point, even a massive amount of Democrats are like, oh God, we need to shut this woman up. And she's like, no, I will not shut up. I am reclaiming my time. And it is so fucking hysterical. It's actually the funniest thing ever.
Gaytriarchy. If anyone's like, I'm reclaiming my time. I'm claiming my time.
Sorry.
Oh, I'm saying like I don't know. Anyway, you can chime in like, I'm claiming my time. I want to read a Donald Trump tweet. So I'm claiming my time, like Maxine Waters.
I was just gonna say, it's like she thinks like, oh, I'm gonna be the next Elizabeth Warren. It's like, lady, your Triggerly-Puff dropped on your head and off your meds to the rest of the world.
I took that time and I pissed on it. It's mine.
Oh God. Are you trying to get
this fucking epic Donald Trump tweet in my best Donald Trump impression? I'm not promising it'll be good, but I'm promising I'm gonna try.
Okay.
Ready?
Oh wait, well, let's screen share you. Can we do that?
Yeah, okay. Let's give it a shot. Give me a moment here. I'm a little bit of an old lady at heart. I think I'm also a 14-year-old girl at heart, so you can square that circle at home. Wait, how do I screen share?
Whenever you...
I found it.
Okay.
I found it. Okay, but I have to not be on this tab because it's gonna do like the infinity thing, and then we're all gonna Okay.
Okay.
Where am I going? Where I forgot where what am I sharing again? Oh yeah, the tweet. Where is it? Shit, I don't remember where it is. Oh my God, this is amateur hour. I'm so sorry.
I'm reclaiming my time.
I found it.
Okay.
Sorry, I found it. You guys see it?
Yeah, read it.
This is the topic right here I want to fucking talk about. Let's do this.
Okay.
Congressman Maxine Waters.
No. I'm talking about the one where Trump can reverse the gay marriage one. That I want to fucking talk about.
Okay, but I have to read this tweet. Okay, and I didn't do I've got to get a mulligan because that wasn't good. I'm gonna try again. It's not doing him justice. He's more majestic. Okay, give me a moment. Okay. Congressman Maxine Waters, an extraordinarily low IQ person, has become, together with Nancy Pelosi, the face of the Democrat Party. She has just called for harm to supporters, of which there are many, of the Make America Great Again movement. Be careful what you wish for, Max.
Okay, that was a amazing impression. Like, I actually thought that we were talking to the president. But You know, he's
Wait,
actually
were you
doing.
being was it really kind of good? I don't know if it was good or not.
I can see that. I could see I could see about maybe 3% of Donald Trump in that, and that was more than I anticipated. But so
I'll take that. I'll take that as like a B plus.
so wait, you have to.
Okay.
Hey, you have to keep presenting what you were presenting. You can't just go click on the chat window because you're still presenting to everyone.
Oh, I want to read the live chat though. Can I
Sorry,
not?
sorry.
Like
You
the
don't.
live
No,
chat?
that's what you give up for. That's what you have to sacrifice.
Okay,
for.
well, you guys better not let our live chat down because they're the fucking best part of all of this.
Okay, stop screen sharing yourself then.
No. No.
I'm saying, but Prince really is opposed, and that means that Prince is gonna be up in the asshole of that live chat, tongue punching the fart box of that live chat is what he just promised us.
No, so I just want to keep this up so everybody can see it for the moment. I actually what Donald Trump is doing right here, and this is one of the things that people are saying, you know, have been saying about Donald Trump for a very long time, is that he's he might have even pioneered the genre of brand marketing. Like I mean, brand marketing has technically kind of been around for a long time, but in the information age, it's gotten to be a different thing. And what he's doing is he's framing, in terms of his supporters, he's saying Nancy Pelosi and Maxine Waters are the worst example of the Democratic Party. Every time you need a way to describe how the Democratic Party is bad, look to them. That's what he's saying, and it's true. Because it's pretty easy, you know, like to yeah, like I don't think that Maxine Waters like she's just on her own little ego trip, really. Like she just wants attention, honestly, because she's a lunatic, she's a crazy person. Like her policies, like she's never like advocated for anything good. She's an affirmative action hire, and she's only happy to get attention, and the only way that she gets attention is by being provocative. She's just a fucking embarrassment. She's everything that is wrong with things like affirmative action and identity politics. It's like you might get someone like Maxine Waters. She's horrible.
She's an awful person.
Okay, you can look at the chat now.
I was gonna go to the Google image search of her because I realized this thing, which is that going to the Google image search and then you can like snipping tool that, and then you have like a million images at once. This is how slow my internet is. Like fuck DSL, but I'm really thankful for it also.
Can we look at a "I'm Reclaiming My Time" remix for a second?
Okay.
Sorry, what? Come again?
I kind of want to do a Reclaiming My. Wait, you know what? We only have a few more minutes. Let's talk to Melissa about what Melissa. Okay, do you want to talk about detransitioning, or do you want to talk about something else?
I mean, I'm down to talk about detransition, but I want to touch on just a short rant about the whole like Trump's going to reverse gay marriage thing. You ready for this?
Okay.
What have these leftist lunatics actually got right? Anything, right? So to expand on my point, when Donald Trump was shaking his saber at North Korea, we were going to enter a nuclear war with North Korea. And now Kim Jong-un is going to come visit the president in the White House. Well, that's what it looks like.
Well, and now they're mad. They were like, "You're going to nuke a whole country, you monster!" And then they're like, "You made peace with a dictator, you monster!"
So they were wrong on that, right? And then what was the next best big thing, right? The what do you call it? Trump's gonna ban abortion, right? And he didn't ban abortion. He just simply said the government fund isn't gonna go to it, and which to me is like the largest entitlement in the world. Where you look at taking money away from taxpayers, because don't kid yourself, the government doesn't make money; it takes it. And that's all it does. And it sucks at everything that it tries to do. And then look at not getting that taxpayer federal money as losing something that you deserve, right? That's fucking entitlement 101. And they turned out to be wrong about that. And now, then the next thing was, well, Trump is taking kids away from illegal immigrants. Now, the fact that I don't give a shit what happens to illegals when they cross the border, notwithstanding, this is not a Trump law or a Trump era law or Trump era policy. This is a policy that was passed with bipartisan support and unanimously, so unanimous actually that the Senate didn't even bother to record the vote.
Yeah, and the reason why Ben Shapiro explains this very clearly is just simply that there was a period, like, they didn't want children to be detained with their fucking parents in some sort of federal encampment or prison. So they wanted to separate the children so that the children didn't have to be in fucking federal holding places.
Yeah, so they came up. During the Bush administration, they made this law, and they're like, okay, it's good. And this law continued under Obama, all fucking 8 years of it.
Well,
these
actually,
these dipshit liberals waited 10 years to get mad at the wrong person.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that technically Obama was actually, he separated a lot of families. I mean, okay, everything, but no, I looked up, there was, I think, a 2015 ACLU article. So this is, peak of the Obama administration. And it was trying to say that the detaining families, which Obama was doing, was inhumane, and the ACLU was arguing against it. So I think that what happened is that places like the ACLU sued the Obama administration or lobbied them, and eventually that changed. And that's why the separation policy ended up coming into being, and Trump has merely been utilizing it. And yeah, it's selective outrage. It's selective outrage for people who don't follow politics at all and who are not interested in following politics at all. Because when you try to tell these people about it, and you try to say like, because I've literally gotten in conversations with people on Facebook that have said, no, Trump invented this, and I link them with articles and I don't even have to link them with, Reason or, any sort of like Fox News or some shit like that. Like, I can link them with the Washington Post and the ACLU's homepage and shit. And then even after they see that, they somehow try to like say that, well, but Trump still is an icky, mean man, and it's worse than Obama because reasons. And it's like,
yeah, it's complete politics. And I find it very funny that the left wing all of a sudden gives a shit about families. Mm-hmm. Like, don't come at me with that bullshit. The left wing invented family court as it exists today, which the family court is all about tearing apart families. Mm-hmm. So don't come at me with this bullshit that you suddenly give a fuck about families. Like, get the fuck out of here. These are the same idiots that cheered Obama on as he spent $12 trillion over an 8-year period, far more than every other president combined, including Donald Trump. And they want to come at me about the price They want to come at me about the price of a fucking wall? No. You can fucking sit on it and fucking swivel. Like 100%. I am not fucking listening to this bullshit. It's completely political. It is completely political.
He spent $12 trillion and still managed to bankrupt his own party.
Yeah, exactly. And still managed to bankrupt his own party. And I mean, you brought in all these fucking ideologues because, like, I get it. When Obama was originally elected, there was this great hope, right? Like, there was this great idea that racial politics in the United States was going to fundamentally change for the better. And I'll be lying if I didn't buy into that, right?
Yeah, I did too. I voted for him largely because he was a fucking black guy.
I didn't vote for him, but I said one of the benefits of Obama being president is that, maybe racial politics will get better in the United States, right? So I was part and parcel to that line of thinking.
I gave him an affirmative action vote.
But the opposite happened, because when Obama came, here come all these racial ideologues right behind him, and they fucking tore it all apart. Anything that might have been good about the Obama administration was destroyed with these fucking these racial ideologues, right? Yep. We call them social justice warriors, but I know them for what they are, right? They're these community organizers and these these academic ideologues, and that's what they are.
Yeah.
And that's why I don't use the word social justice warrior, because I think it cheapens exactly what these people are. And when you call them social justice warriors, instead of calling them for what they are, these community organizers and these racial politicians and these bullshit artists, when you call them for what, when you just blanket them with the social justice warrior label, what you're doing is you're giving them a cover. And I don't agree with that. That's why I call them racial ideologues, because that's what the fuck they are.
Well, yeah, and I mean, but the racial ideologue thing is one flavor of the sort of the neo-Marxist type thing. It's usually just one version of what would I say? It's one version of rewriting the rules so that certain people have an easier time succeeding, but more so that people in their position succeed. So they're rewriting the rules to make it so that they themselves, as racial ideologues, have a purpose, and that their purpose is validated in the system, and they have a job. And like it's all about, you know, maintaining their own self-preservation, and like there's very, very little help of, you know, minority communities. It generally has to do with these kind of like neo-Marxist structures like feminism, and like because okay, there used to be a point where you could find Black socialist type identitarians who weren't feminists, but not anymore. You just can't find those anymore. And because the weird neo-Marxist, believe it or not, I think overall, I think in a lot of ways they largely died out. Like they were around during the 1990s in the right places, largely died out during the Bush years. And they had to start sort of sticking together, and so they consolidated their forces, and it became, you know, intersectional feminism, which was alive during the Bush years, and then it was given a massive budget by the Obama administration, seemingly. And so there's a lot of these, like, you know, racial ideologue people, blah 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 blah, but they don't serve anybody beside, like they say that they're serving, you know, the Black community, blah blah blah, but
no, these cocksuckers are serving themselves.
Yeah.
Like don't fucking get it twisted. Like, and this is one of the mistakes these so-called anti-SJW channels make, is these advocates, these racial and sex ideologues, right, will put themselves on this little pedestal. Like, I'm so good because blah 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 blah. And and this is like one of my major criticisms of the quote unquote skeptic community, is they'll sit there and argue their arguments. What they don't do, and what they allow them to have, is that moral high ground. No. I'm not giving you the moral high ground on abortion. You want to kill babies. I'm not giving you that moral high ground. I'm not giving you a fucking inch. I will tear you off that horse by showing you a picture of a 20-week-old fucking fetus. And then I'll show you exactly what the fuck it is you're killing. And guess what? I'll win the fucking argument, because people will see the fucking picture and they'll see a fucking baby. They won't see a clump of cells. They won't see any kind of fucking your dumbass fucking talking points or your fucking rhetoric. That's not what they're going to see. They're going to see a fucking 20-week-old baby. And I'm not going to give you the fucking high ground. I'm going to take you right off of it. And Armored Skeptic and all these, and Sargon of Akkad and all these fucking assholes, they don't take them off of their fucking high horse. That's my fucking argument with them.
Wait, so are pro-choice activists arguing to have 20-week abortions? Because I thought it was no later than 16 weeks is what they usually were advocating for.
Generally, it's 20 weeks, but the pro-choice insane people want it to be up until the baby falls out of you.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, they want to go all the way to you can have an abortion even if you're giving birth. Like, they would go that far if they could medically get away with it.
Yeah,
this is so crazy.
Yeah, and what it is like they'll mask their bullshit behind like language like a little bit of woman's right to choose. Let me talk about a woman's right to choose. Let me talk about that motherfucker right now. To get pregnant involves a series of choices.
Yeah.
Right? You first have to make the choice that you're going to go out and have sex. And then you got to and then you choose your partner. And then after you choose your partner, you choose to take your clothes off. You choose to let him take his clothes off. You choose to let him stick his dick inside you without a fucking condom.
Yeah. And then you
then,
choose, and then you can always at least, worst comes to fucking worst, get a test, if the condom breaks, get a fucking pregnancy test after after a week or so, and then you can get a safe abortion.
I'm getting there, Prince. Then you fucking chose to not be on birth control. Then you chose not the morning after pill. Then you chose to take the baby to term. And I'm sorry, that's a lot of choices. And there's probably dozens of other choices I'm fucking missing, right? Mm-hmm. So don't give me this woman's right to choose bullshit. She had the right to choose through this entire process, and she failed to choose. Mm-hmm. I am so sick of society not holding women to account for their fucking choices. Well, we gotta let them and there's no other. I don't have the right to take a life from somebody else based on my inability to make the right choice.
Yeah,
there's no other, and this goes for every single man on the face of the earth, right? Like Prince, there is no legal or moral justification for you to take the life of someone else because of your shit decisions.
Yeah, and I want to include that, and this is a good starting point, what you just sort of said. A lot of feminists, what they would say if they heard us as a gay man and a trans woman having this conversation, they would immediately jump to saying that we are talking about things that we don't have the right to talk about because we don't have uteruses and we have no chance of getting pregnant. And if they were talking about some sort of decision that, you know, affected us in a similar way, then we would have a, you know, we would side with them, blah, 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 blah. And so the thing that they would probably bring up would be like, well, what happened if you came down with HIV? Wouldn't you want treatment? Wouldn't you blah, 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 blah. HIV is actually, I don't have a whole massive amount of, what's the word? Like, I'm not one of these like bleeding heart, pro HIV healthcare type guys. I do think that I'm a pretty pro healthcare type person overall, but at the same time, like, there's a little bit too much social services for HIV positive guys if you go to certain areas, to the point where guys literally end up becoming happy that they're infected with HIV because then they can be disabled and then they're welcomed into this like new community of guys and it's all exciting and they have lots of unprotected sex. And that kind of thing definitely does happen. And it's really strange. It does almost seem to be, you know, similar to the abortion industrial complex that you talk about. There does seem to be an HIV positive industrial complex, and they actually lobby government. They're trying to make it so that it's more and more legal for guys to knowingly transmit HIV to other guys in various different states, like in California and New York. They're trying to do that. And I have to wonder if it's because they want more HIV positive men so that there is more of a welfare state and health industry to treat those HIV positive men. And I think that that's messed up in the same way that I think that the abortion industry is messed up. Like, I don't have a concise conclusion about either, about like a stance, because those are both issues that don't actually, I just haven't researched all of the angles enough. But no, I'm not sitting around saying, oh my God, the poor victimized HIV positive guys, they need all these resources, blah, 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 blah. No, I'm saying fucking don't get HIV, motherfucker. It's not that hard.
Yeah, no, that's my argument. Like, if they were to come at me with that bullshit, like the HIV thing, I'd be like, you know what? Treating HIV does not involve taking the life of another person.
Yeah,
it
first
doesn't.
of all.
Like, I would just squash that immediately. Like, it's a non sequitur. It's bullshit.
Yeah.
Right? It's a rhetorical device that you're trying to trap me in to have this like retarded conversation. It's whataboutism. Like, fuck you. I'm not even engaging in the conversation. I would just simply say a person treating HIV is not taking the life of another person, first and foremost. Second, if someone gets HIV, they also had to make a series of choices to get to that point.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sorry, but here comes the personal responsibility train. You fucked up. You have to deal with the consequences. And thankfully, I live in the United States where we don't have federally subsidized healthcare by at least to the same degree that, you know, most of the world has it. Most of the first world has it. So yeah, you have to pay to play. You get HIV. Like my heart breaks for you. It sucks. Like, I'm not saying it's fun. I'm not trying to minimize like how rough getting the virus is and you know, the changes that you have to go through your life and all that bullshit. I'm not minimalizing that. I understand. It sucks. But at the end of the day, it's time to own up to your mistakes.
Yeah, and I'm sure some people get raped and everything, but you know what? They have a fucking morning after pill for HIV too. Take that fucking. If you get raped, fucking take that fucking thing.
And then they'll come at you with bullshit like, "Oh, incest, my rape," and blah 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 blah. Right? No. Most pregnancies that are aborted, like I don't remember the exact statistic, but I looked it up. It's like less than 5% of pregnancies end up as a result of rape or incest. Right? So okay, you know what? I'll give you your 5%. Now I have like a problem with that. Like, if I were born as a result of rape or incest, right? I wouldn't want to be aborted. It's not my fault. Some other shit went down. Like, I wasn't even born yet. But I wouldn't want to lose my life over that shit. I don't know about you. I'd rather be alive.
I haven't given it that much thought. I just haven't.
I'd rather be alive and a product of rape than
dead. Rape, yeah, probably. I would probably be okay with that. I could probably come to terms with that.
You know what I mean?
I don't know about having like birth defects though.
So, and that's the other issue is, that'll be the other issue is like, and this is happening in Europe by and large, and Asia, is if they could detect that a kid has like, if they detect that a kid has like a certain birth anomaly, right? Like they're gonna have Down syndrome or something like that, right? that they're aborting them, and this is from the same crowd. This is the same crowd of people that said we can't sterilize the mentally ill. So it's not okay to sterilize the mentally ill, but it's okay to abort retarded babies. Do I understand this correctly?
Yeah.
Actually, some of them are saying it's not okay to abort mentally challenged babies.
But you see what I mean?
Yeah, I know they're hypocrites. That's what I know you're getting at.
By virtue of the fact that they're mentally challenged, like it's okay to abort everyone else, but
there's retards that live successful lives, right? Like I was reading a story about this retarded woman that runs a fucking bakery.
Oh,
like, straight up
like, okay, I don't think that
like straight up
know
potato.
that technically exists, but I don't know if I imagine she has a little bit of help, and that's it's.
Well, I'm sure she's got a support network, right? But she's contributing to society, is my point.
Yeah, but I think it's like a group of people pretending like she's doing this thing that she's probably not actually doing, and then she gets to be the spokesperson for. That would be my guess, because like I don't. What
I'm getting at, Prince, is that she wakes up in the morning, right? And she goes and does something constructive with her fucking life, right?
Yeah. No, and like,
and I'm sure, like in her mentally retarded mind, that she finds value in what the fuck she's doing, right? Like she's not a drone. She's not like brain dead, is what I'm getting at. Like, yeah, she's behind the power curve, but she's not brain dead.
Yeah.
She finds value in her life.
Yeah, she can do stuff. Like she can contribute to actually baking, and she actually enjoys it, and it's not the end of the fucking world. It's dealing with the mentally handicapped and retarded is and there's a difference between, autistic, like there's, I have family members that are autistic children who are actually exceptionally bright in certain ways, like, can't communicate super well, but like, played a video game all the way through, took him probably, like, I don't know, 15 hours the first time to beat the first one, and then played it again a second time and took him like less than 2 hours. And I'm like, whoa, he just fucking remembered that entire goddamn thing. And, it's like, oh, that's actually very interesting. He actually has to be really smart in certain ways. And then, but then there's this friend of a daughter of a friend of my mother's is Down syndrome, and she's probably like 10 or 11, and like she's nice in the way that she really, really appreciates if you pay attention to her, and she will try to do, like if you tell her to do something, for example, my mother has these community kind of dinners where they have like Thanksgiving with a lot of her neighbors and stuff, right? And one of the kids has had some behavioral problems because I'll just say he's on the spectrum, and he had some kind of issues. And so one of the things about him was that he was very prone to starting fires.
Geez.
Yeah, so he'd like go and like find candles and like start fucking with them. And it was like something that you had to know as an adult to like watch out for. Like if he's around and he starts fucking with a candle, you got to be careful. And so I remember, being like, hey, like I saw him, and I was like doing something. I think I was on my laptop because I was trying to get some work done or some shit. And he came into the room, and there was nobody really in there besides me and the Down syndrome girl and him. And he starts messing with the candle, and I give him a look, and then he walks away, And so I asked her, I was like, hey, could you maybe blow out those candles? And she like, nodded very kind of enthusiastically. And, because like you could tell that she really wanted to be helpful and make me happy. And she is like that. And then one time during winter, it snowed, and she wanted to throw snowballs. And so I decided to kind of take one for the team and just let her throw snowballs at me and like, try to dodge. And if I realized I couldn't dodge, I would just sort of like put my chest out so it would explode on me. And she was so happy about this. Like she was just like stoked to the point where it was like, okay, you've actually thrown like over 20 snowballs at me, and I need to like go away. And then she like follows after me wanting to throw more, and it's like, okay, this is sweet, but at the same time, you still are not mental, like you don't quite understand that like this is not like I can't I want to have this really, really, really big heart, and I do, and I want to say yes, this is a person, this is a valid person that has human interactions, and those are important. And but at the same time, if you spend time with these people, you have to remember that they don't understand things that normal people understand. When it gets to the point where she thinks she's just playing a game with you and you want to stop playing and she's still throwing fucking snowballs at you, that gets to be fucking annoying. And you do have to tell her parents to tell her to stop. And like, if people were to say, oh, they're just like other people. No, they're not. Like,
I'm not saying they're like
no. And I'm not saying that you're saying that at all.
Yeah.
But what I am saying is that like, there's people, when it comes to the mentally disabled, like people like mentally retarded people, they polarize the issue. Either they're every bit as good as another person, or they're just like these, you might as well abort them. And there is a massive amount of gray area. It's like, look, they shouldn't necessarily be aborted. They can have fulfilling lives, and you can have fun with them and everything. But at the same time, they are a fucking pain in the ass, and you got to admit to that.
No, I'm not saying like that they're the paragons of the greatness of life, right? Like that's not my argument. My argument is that even the most retarded fucking retard you can find right? They individually can find value in life, right? And I don't remember the Constitution saying everyone has the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness unless you're a fucking retard. I don't remember reading that in the Constitution.
Yeah.
I mean, someone could point it out. I'd be more than happy to read it. You know? And people are like, well, how can you be an anti-theist and pro-life? Well, there's my fucking argument in a nutshell. Because my argument is that I believe I have this idea in my head that everybody has the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And I don't care if you're fucking born a retard. That right extends to you. I don't remember saying except if you're a fucking retard, or if you're fucking black, or if you're fucking, whatever. I don't remember reading that. There was no qualifiers there.
Hate to be a damper, but I'm kind of running out of energy here.
Oh no, it's okay.
I'm the one running the stream though, so
Yeah. We should all try to end this probably. Well,
You want me to touch on the detransitioners just really quick, because I have a talking point, and then I could come back next week if you want.
Do you have a video about it on your channel?
What?
Do you have a video about it on your channel?
Not detransitioners. I should probably do one because I actually have unlike the rest of the lefty trans. That's what I call them, lefty trans. I actually have a great deal of sympathy for these people. So
yeah, I do. Well, yeah, say something real quick.
Well, no, there was this video I was watching, and it was this girl who did the female to male transition. And she had gotten a voice, she had gotten the facial hair, she had gotten a mastectomy and a hysterectomy. And I'm calling her she now because she detransitioned. So, that's what I'm going with, right? And my heart actually broke for her. It was like a 20-minute long video, and she wasn't throwing shade at anybody. She wasn't shitting on anyone, right? And I'm watching this video, and I'm actually crying because I feel really bad for her, right? But after the video, I didn't even bother reading the comments because I knew it was just filled with TRAs, trans rights activists, TRAs that have no sense of empathy whatsoever. Just absolutely shitting on her. I can guarantee it. That's what was in that fucking comment. And I'll see if I can find the video and I'll give it to you. And when I read it was finished and I had time to I kind of collected myself and I was trying to process what I just watched. And her story is exactly why our treatments, when I say our treatments, our transsexual treatments, right? I don't fuck transgender. The transsexual treatments need to be behind a titanium reinforced gate. That needs to, and everybody that comes into that gate needs to go under a fucking microscope to make sure we get it right. Because what we've just done to this girl is forced a kind of reversed gender dysphoria on her. Because she came to the conclusion that she's fine with being a woman, and that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. I don't see why I would have a problem with that. Or why I should have a problem with that. And because it was so easy for her to get these treatments, she essentially fucked herself up. And she's going to have a reversed kind of dysphoria for the rest of her life because her voice is permanently changed. There's only so much surgery can do to fix that. She's lost her breast tissue. There's only so much that reconstructive surgery can do to fix that. She got a hysterectomy. She'll never be able to reproduce children. If she chose to, if she decided she wanted to have babies. Well, that option's out the window. That's why our treatments need to be behind an iron gate. Period. And every time I read one of these or listen to one of these detransition stories, my stance on that just becomes more and more and more concrete.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I sort of figured it would be. But I think that you should make a whole video about that. And everybody should go watch Melissa's channel. The links are in the description. And other than that, I'm going to have to say that we should end the show because Megan needs to go fuck off.
Yeah. If you guys want to follow me on YouTube, you can follow me on Twitter at Missy Karlee. Type in Melissa Karlee. The best place to hear like my opinion on things, because like I'm kind of spotty with YouTube videos, and the reason for that is most of my energy goes into my radio station at magaoneradio.net. That's MAGAONE radio.net.
Yay. Okay, everybody, goodbye. I don't care what y'all do, but you can't gay here.
Good night.